And there we go, everyone. We are back again for another fantastic conversation on Friday Night Counter Attack. We are here, we are rocking, and we are rolling. I had a joke planned for this one, and I'm going to say it because you know what? Let's start off with a bang. This is one of my favorite episodes to do this season because we have four incredible football content creators from different ethnic backgrounds as well. So if you are a racist football fan watching this podcast, you will not be enjoying this at all. We had some slack. We've had a lot of stick this season for having random people giving us stick for no reason. Like we've had some people say, "Oh, why are you inviting a girl on the podcast?" But that girl is actually a very good content creator. She's killing it right now in Canada. She's now one of our most popular co-hosts as well, and she's going to be watching Barcelona face off against Napoli tomorrow as well. So welcome to the show, Sara. It's good to have you back on. And don't worry, I am fighting all of these trolls with my hands today as well, which is good to see. How are you doing, Sara? It's good to see you.
I'm good. Another Champions League Tuesday pod. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of
Midweek pod.
myself.
Good for this
Yes,
one.
but the Champions League is back, so we're rocking with the Inter and Atleti game on for me while I record here. Very exciting stuff.
I'm watching PSV and Borussia Dortmund. Last week's success was fantastic in watching, basically doing a watch along and a podcast at the same time, which is fantastic. So, someone who doesn't have to watch his team play and do a podcast is basically yourself, Sarah, because tomorrow Napoli are taking on Barcelona, which we will get onto later on in the show, which will be fantastic. And another person's team who are in the Champions League and playing tomorrow as well against a very tough side in Porto is our good friend Matthew from Back of the Net podcast as well. The reason that Matthew's taken flack from people on social media is basically because he still hasn't sent me his authentic Zimbabwean recipes that he promised me 2, 3 weeks ago. So I'm asking you, I've been asking you since AFCON, like, come on, Matthew, where is it? We've talked about jollof in African cuisine, we've talked about Nigerian culture, Ghanaian culture. Where is my Zimbabwean recipes that I can cook tomorrow on my day off? And how are you doing again, my friend? It's good to see you.
It's in a post. It's in a post. It's coming. You know the distant time zone and all of that. But
No,
nah,
no, no,
listen.
no, 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 no. Not in this day and age, my friend. We're talking to people across the pond in Canada today. There is no postage delay from you, but it's good to see you. How are you doing today?
I'm all good, man. Thanks for having me on. Nice to meet you, Sarah, and Daniel as well. I'm looking forward to this one. I'm real excited. You know, I'm obviously my team in the Champions League, like Sarah. You don't know about that. You don't know about that, like us.
We're
You
gonna
know.
test your football knowledge later on as well, which would be great. And I know it's not your fault, Matthew, at all. But basically, Daniel isn't part of our podcast this week from the Footy Coach. It's actually Chris. But Chris, that's on you. That's the rookie error, my friend. I'm not
Hey,
changing your
Oh.
not my laptop. Okay.
borrowing from here as well. But Chris, again, another fan like myself who's not in the Champions League, a Juventus fan, got some fantastic praise from our audience earlier this season when you were talking about the Serie A race with Juventus as well. That we had that start bench cell with Del Piero, Raul, and Francesco Totti, which was very popular amongst the office and the workplace that I work in as well, and university. But Chris, it's good to have you back on, my friend. How are you doing this week? And I need to start off after I've asked you how you're doing with one of your most famous interviews to date. But first of all, how are you doing today?
I'm doing much better now because coming from another Juventus result, it's been rough.
Oh,
But
that
yeah,
was the tough game against Udinese. That was painful for you guys. It's
we're,
really
we're here now.
what's the difference now? Like 12 points, 11 points in Serie A?
I
It's
don't,
not looking good.
I don't even want to check anymore. It's been bad. Been rad.
Don't worry, I'll be checking it later on as well. And just to start off the podcast, I want to just appreciate everyone that we've gotten today. We've had some fantastic conversations over the season going on. The reason I got off on a bit of an off-putting foot as well, because I've had a few people in person say, "Oh, you know what? I miss it when it's just a couple of people that talk about their same teams every week." And I'm like, no, it's fun like this. I enjoy it like this because we learn so much about different people, their perspective on football. And for me, it's absolutely fantastic because we're learning so much about different people's football heritage as well, which we will be getting onto later on, and their recognition of the top 10 Champions League players in the world. Yeah, this season as well. We'll have different lists as well, I assure you. But before we get on to our club talk, which will start with Sara's Barcelona, Chris, I need to ask you, just from a fan's perspective as well, how cool is it that the footy culture is now interviewing Premier League footballers on a regular basis? Because the last time you were on, you said we've got something big in the pipeline coming soon. And then I see an interview with Matty Catch. I see an interview with Axel Disasi as well. Then I see you interviewing Arsenal player Lisandro Trossard. How cool is it? And how cool was it for you to interview the Belgian international?
It's all right now. I'm joking.
That's a lie. That's a lie. That's
It's
a lie.
absolutely insane. Like if I had told you this like years ago, that if you told me this, I would be doing this years ago. Like I would not believe you because it's absolutely insane to get these interviews. And all of us, like every time we go into an interview, like we're nervous because of how important this is and like how big of a star they are. Like we're not getting like no names. Like these are players that can ball out every Sunday, every Saturday. Like it's absolutely mind blowing. I can't put it into words. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, it's one of your most performing reels or social media content I've seen. The
It went
impressions
off.
you had was ridiculous, which is
Yep.
insane as well. But now you've got a conversation with a model of the Emirates and of Arsenal Football Club as well. So I mean, look at him now; he's looking like his Spice Adams, which is crazy to see. Come on, Matthew, you know what I'm talking about. It's crazy to see what you're up to. Literally.
Let me not do that again.
That's not a racist joke, by the way. That's an inside. That's an inside joke. That's now become a public joke as well. But before we move on to Sara, talking about Barcelona first of all, what was your favorite question and answer that you got from Leandro Trossard when you got to interview him, Chris?
I'm
Honestly, interviewing the interviewer now.
Yeah, honestly, my favorite answer was who looks in front of the mirror, like who looks at themselves in the mirror the most, and he went on to say Odegaard. I wasn't expecting to answer that at all. Like I thought he was gonna, yeah, I can't answer that, but he did like a little smirk at the end, like, but like it was great. Like just for him to answer every single question without having any problems with any of them, it was great.
I would have thought it'd been Ben White personally, with the amount of orange tan he puts on himself.
That's
Jeez,
what I
man.
thought.
So how's he looking?
Tan.
Literally, how's he looking so tanned in December when it's freezing and it's raining as well? He's definitely not going to Spain every weekend, or every week, I should say, because he's playing all weekends. But that was crazy to see that as well. But nicely done there, Chris, and credit to you and you, the boys over at the Footy Culture as well. Fantastic work and effort that you've got going on as well. And someone who's been featured on the Footy Culture recently as well, Sara Pereira. Take us away with Barcelona. What happened at the weekend with Celta Vigo? What are you expecting with this new salary wage cap that we've seen? Breaking news today as well, which is crazy. And the fact that João Felix is back into the squad for Barcelona against Napoli as well. I want to hear all about it. Take us away, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, let's start with the weekend. Celta Vigo, a bottom table. Is that Saalim? No way.
There's no way Salim's joining the podcast just when Sara's talking about Barcelona. If he joins, he joins.
He heard I was talking about Barca and he's coming.
There he is. He's finally waken up from his year. How 4 months off, Salim, from Friday night counter-attack? All it took was a coffee yesterday night. I was like, yeah, I'll get you back on, which is good. But yeah, Salim, we're back. We're ready. We've gone through our introduction. Sara's here talking about Barcelona. So I'm ready for your topics of Aston Villa today. So Salim is an Aston Villa fan. For our panelists that don't know, Matthew, as you know, is an Arsenal fan by what he's wearing, and because you've seen him modelling for the social media pages of Arsenal Football Club. It's true. It's true. It's your WhatsApp picture, Matt. You can't even deny it anymore, which is cool. Chris over here still hasn't changed his name to Daniel, for goodness sake, as well. I don't get it, Chris. Chris is here for chaos. It's true. But Chris is a Juventus fan, Salim. So Salim, it's good to have you back on, my friend, and looking forward to hearing your thoughts this season this year actually, on Aston Villa and everything else in football. How you doing? You okay?
Yeah, good, thanks. I mean, we only met, how long ago was it now?
24 hours.
Not that long. Yeah, quite a good meet-up, wasn't it?
It was good. It's good. Now you're meeting up with the boys and the girls. We're ready for it. We're rocking. We're rolling. Sara, Barcelona, what happened at the weekend with Celta Vigo and Robert Lewandowski's been a last-minute winner?
Yeah, almost, though not nearly through, because the penalty originally didn't cross that line, but luckily the keeper stepped off it, so they were able to retake it. But I mean, I mentioned this in the reel I just did this morning with the Footy Culture, but that win Barcelona had lacked any conviction. They're just lucky that luckily Girona dropped points to Bilbao yesterday.
What a game.
They're 2 points off of, yeah, seriously, tons of great goals. But your boy, Daily Blind, big miss for them. Big miss for the boys in Catalonia. But listen, I mean, they're grinding out these kind of really boring, really lucky results, but it's really important for Barcelona if they can't win La Liga to finish second, because if you finish second in La Liga, you still are guaranteed 5 million euros. And we know how important it is for Barcelona right now, maybe more than any other club in La Liga, to be getting any money they can. So a win is a win, I guess. It's not exciting football. It's not the football that I once grew up watching, the tiki-taka.
You know what you're talking about with a winner is a win. You're using meme potential here, Sara. It's crazy.
I know. We say it sometimes and then it gets used against us. But yeah, no, it wasn't a great win at all. And yeah, Lewandowski, scoring, but again, I still haven't seen what I saw from him last season, and it kind of seems that we got the best of what we got from him last season, and that's just going to be left there because he's reached a certain age. And just unfortunately for him, I think he's just slowly on the decline because he's of a certain age. It's nothing against him, but Barcelona cannot build a team around him whatsoever. So Joao Felix being back in the lineup for the Napoli game is massive because it means that there's going to be another attacking threat in the Barcelona force, and they need everything that they can get right now against Napoli for sure, because Napoli are a very attacking team. And with the way Barcelona are playing, I assume Napoli are absolutely going to score against Barcelona. When, I'm not sure, but they'll be able to score.
But Napoli just sacked their manager, their second manager of the season, which is crazy to think about as well. You're looking at if their new manager is going to come in, if it's going to be an interim for tomorrow. At the time of recording, it's not confirmed if he will take charge of the Champions League game against Barcelona, but it's in their DNA to be attacking. We're seeing Osimhen come back into the fold as well. I think around 8th or 9th in La Liga. No, Serie A, I should say, slip of the tongue there. But again, it's like you said last week, Sara, there are teams where they can scrape out wins because they've got that winning mentality about them. Barcelona have that. Napoli don't. They haven't had that mentality in the Champions League last season. They never had it this season in the Serie A. So it's looking favourable for Barcelona at this time of speaking as well. But again, this was all in hindsight. This is before what's happening as well. But before we move on to Matthew and Arsenal, I need to kind of ask you one question. It's going to be a straight yes or no question. Will you qualify from this round? And do you think Barcelona could meet Real Madrid in the Champions League this season?
Wait, what? There's two questions there.
It's a yes and a yes for me. That's all I'm saying. I want to see El Clasico in the Champions League. Do you know how cool that would be? Bellingham versus Pedri in the Champions League.
That for so long, and now it's like Barcelona at their worst in our lifetime. You know what I mean? The amount of like quality El Clasicos we could have had, and now if there were to be an El Clasico, it would be such a shame.
We saw it last season in the Milan derby in the semi-finals of Champions League. El Clasico would blow this competition wide open, in my opinion.
Yeah, but that Milan derby was also not the best Milan derby we could have seen, unfortunately.
It wasn't as entertaining. You're right.
Yeah, like a 2005 Milan derby, 2004. Oh my goodness. I think Barcelona can beat Napoli. I'm going to say yes, but I'm not silly here. If Barcelona have to play Real Madrid, I don't see Barcelona winning that game right now whatsoever. I'd love for it to happen. I think in a one-off game, anything can happen. But if I'm looking at both teams right now, one team has the players, has the coach behind the players, has the immense talent, looks to be building a team in the right direction, and the other team looks to be, I don't know, kind of cleaning out the locker room right now over the summer transfer window, I'd say.
Yeah, I'd say so as well. But again, it's yes from me. It's yes, no from Sara. Matthew, yes, no, yes. What are you saying for that question with Napoli, beating Napoli and facing Real Madrid in an El Clasico in the Champions League? Yes, no, what are you saying?
I think, I don't want to put a dampener.
No, don't you dare.
I'm sorry. I just have to say
No. Chris, yes,
no.
No.
To beat Arsenal. Cannot wait for Porto to have a big win.
So Randy's going to be back and ready for it, which would be good. Chris, yes, no, what are we saying?
I mean, I'd hope Barcelona could beat Napoli without a coach.
Oh, that would be crazy. Do you know how crazy that would be, though, in the Champions League to see that happen? It could be like the AFCON all over again. Emma's face just coming in, interim manager.
Yeah, but I mean, I'd rather see Napoli win. But and I don't want to see El Clasico in Champions League.
Just stick it to La Liga. That's all good. Saalim, round us off. Yes, no, yes. What are we saying?
I think yes. Like obviously, I want to see a Clasico in the Champions League, but it's not going to be, as mentioned, how it could have been, basically.
Like 10 years ago, like it could have been the prime players of all time as well, all in that one team, which is crazy to think about. Nicely done there, Sara, on your Barcelona conversation as well. Matthew, take us away with Arsenal. You've got Porto in the Champions League, but I want to talk mostly about two players in particular. I'm not gonna give you an option. We've spoken about Leandro Trossard. I want to talk about how he's doing really well as a false nine. And a couple of weeks ago, Sara and I may have spoken about one of your boys, Kai Havertz, in a not so promising light as well. So I want to hear your thoughts on Kai Havertz so far this season, because my theory is you can play really good football, have a really good team, but there's always that one player who kind of sticks out like a sore thumb. Even if he does score, he's not playing good football, in my opinion. So have that in the back of your mind as we discuss about Leandro Trossard potentially being ready for a permanent change of position as a false nine under Mikel Arteta. What's your thoughts on him? Are you confident in him being a false nine? Let me hear it, Matthew.
First of all, I'll start with Havertz. I feel like I've mentioned it plenty of times. I feel like he threw off the transfer window for me. I feel like up until that signing, I was so happy. I was going around parading and showing off. And then when we signed him, I was like, why? Why are we giving Chelsea money? It was honestly, it was so frustrating. And then I saw him in, I think, first game Community Shield, we played him up top where he was effective. And then when the league came, we played him the left of the three midfield. I feel like his best position is further up top. But he's been effective.
You mean left back, right? You remember that time he played left back for Arsenal this season? That was a wild
and he did it I swear he did it for Germany as well.
He did it for Germany as well.
Yeah, Germany as well. But
be left back on the bench. That's what I would say about Kai Havertz. Come on.
No, that's rude. That's rude. Don't disrespect my team, yeah.
It's not your team. It's just your player. I think your team's fantastic. Besides that one player, personally.
No, honestly, yeah. Listen, you heard me, Hamza, for a while. I've said it. It did for us, but he's been effective last couple of games. I'm not one to jump on a hole he scored against Burnley. Listen, Burnley are useless anyway. But yeah, it's one of them. I feel like he'll do well in the Champions League. I think he's going to be that moment's player. I think Rory Jennings mentioned a couple of months ago. He's going to be that player that scores a goal in, like tomorrow, Porto. It could be that type of game where it's tight and he gets that goal where it's like it takes us going to the Emirates, gives us a lot more confidence to beat them. We should beat them over 2 legs, may I say.
That's where he scored that goal in the Champions League final as well, the Dragao Stadium against Manchester City. So maybe there's a bit of heritage there as well.
That lucky win for Chelsea. The lucky win for Chelsea. But
no DM for Pep. No DM for Pep. Benches Rodri, then plays him every game after that because he realised his mistake. It's crazy.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But honestly, I feel like it's one of them where Arteta took a big risk with that signing. It was one of them, like, it could have really blown up on him. The backing that the fans gave him after last season. And it could have, we're doing well now, but imagine we were, I don't know, 5th in the league and he wasn't performing as he is, last couple of games. It would have been quite horrible. But it's the Chelsea thing, isn't it? We've had so many dud players. Luiz, Jorginho's worked out, Peter Cech, we got a bad...
Willian.
You know what I mean? So I feel like Chelsea just enjoy it. They're like, yeah, take him, and we're just taking their scraps. But yeah, I think he'll work in the long run, and he'll do well in Champions League in Europe. Now, Trossard, I love the guy.
Chris does too.
By the way, I think he's like our version of what Liverpool have with Jota, and what I mean by that,
flexible attacker.
Exactly, and Jota, you give him that chance, he scores most times. Trossard, left foot, right foot. And you can see he's playing with a bit of confidence as well. And I feel like having him up top helps us look a lot more fluid. It doesn't work against every team, might I add. There's some opposition when we play in. I think it's like Man City, we tried it once, and it didn't really work. FA Cup.
Liverpool FA Cup as well this season.
Liverpool FA Cup as well. But last couple of games, he's been absolutely sensational. And yeah, nearly said Daniel again. Chris probably saw, God, he's confused with that name. When he's talking, probably say his confidence is oozing at the moment. And I feel like, Arteta's just running with that for now. He'll probably start tomorrow again, get another goal. And listen, he was doing it at Brighton, if you remember, scoring against the big teams anyway. He scored a hat-trick at Anfield, scoring against Man City, he scored against us. So quality player. I think he's underrated. I know you guys, Hamza, you and your others, you're confused with the whole underrated, overrated thing, but Trossard is definitely...
Wait, what are you trying to throw shade to? What happened?
I'm not throwing shade. I'm not throwing shade. Remember the thing?
Edin Dzeko is always going to be underrated, and I'm pretty sure we spoke about this off air. But basically, I said Edin Dzeko is underrated, and some people say it's not underrated, but it's undervalued. But I would say Leandro Trossard is undervalued at Arsenal personally because he's getting a lot more hype outside of the club than, in my opinion, in the club, because I think it's absolutely fantastic. And that's not just from the Footy Cultage interview with Leandro Trossard, because that was a
quick thing though. I'm a bit concerned. Can't remember what his contract status is, but I feel like he's going to look to see what's going to happen after the Euros, isn't it? Because if you remember, there was a stage where he wasn't really playing. Now he's getting a run of games. He might choose to stay a bit longer, but I think we need it. As I said, he's our Jota. He has to stay.
Nah, it's good to hear as well, which will be really fun to see as well. But I need to go to your top 4 rivals because Arsenal may be out the title race by April, like you were last season as well. So I'm going to go to Aston Villa for this one. Saalim, we spoke about it yesterday. We spoke about how Aston Villa are absolutely on fire this season as well. You lost your home record recently to Chelsea and to Manchester United. You've not appeared on the podcast in a while, but I'm going to get you talking about 2 different players from your side. One of them will be a very positive light in Ollie Watkins, because we've not heard about Ollie Watkins in a while personally, because in Europe's top 5 leagues, Harry Kane's 30 goal contributions, Kylian Mbappe 25 goal contributions, Mohamed Salah 24 goal contributions. Then who's fourth? It's not Haaland. It's not Emi Martinez. It's Ollie Watkins. Ollie Watkins is in the top 5 of goal contributions across European football, which is unbelievable to see the work that he's been putting in with Unai Emery. The fact is now the main man at Aston Villa, definitely second choice striker for England at the Euros, because you can get rid of Tony, you can get rid of Dominic Solanke, Nketiah, sorry Matthew as well, but he is going to be a mainstay for England for years to come, in my opinion. What does it feel like to see Ollie Watkins so consistent, so grounded still as well as an Aston Villa fan, and to see him being that proper leader up front?
Yeah, I was going to say, like, you're sort of missing probably a crucial part of that stat. But if you look at non-penalty goals, then I think he's like second on the list. You know, he's above Salah and these guys, because he's awful at taking penalties.
Like me.
Yeah.
You've seen my those of that penalties, and they're like recorded like 3-4 times in a row before I actually get it in the net. So it's not the same as Ollie Watkins, unfortunately.
That's with an open goal, isn't it?
It's actually an open goal. We don't have a keeper there for that as well. I was like, take 3, take 4, take 5. I need to get them better with my top bins. But yeah, carry on.
In those vids, man.
I look talented because it's like a 10-second video, but it's like recorded for 3-4 minutes. I'm like, I've got to edit it down properly.
It's like anyone can look good on a YouTube clip, isn't it? It's like that.
Matthew knows all about that. Check out the Arsenal YouTube clip for when he advertised.
But yeah, anyway, Ollie Watkins, like, you know, clear main man for us. And even when he's not scoring, he's assisting, he's working so hard for the team. He's going to be a crucial part of us sort of trying to get Champions League. That we've had so many injuries, and, you know, if there's one position where we can't afford an injury, it's there, because we don't even have a backup striker. Well, we do, but that's John Duran. He's 20 and he's injured as well. So injuries are probably going to cost us. I feel like if we didn't have the level of injuries we've had, like 3 ACLs and maybe 4 or 5 other key injuries, then we'd be in a title race. I'm not saying we'd win the title, but we'd still be in a title race. But yeah, it is quite sad to see. Like, I've never come across, you know, 3 of your crucial players getting an ACL. I feel like, you know, Watkins definitely should go, obviously, to the Euros, and he'll probably be back up to Kane, but he's something different to Harry Kane. And, you know, Southgate will obviously not play both of them together anyway. He probably won't even take Watkins, because Tony's back and he hates Villa players. But
you'll go for Callum Wilson of all people, come back from injury 1 game, bring him in the squad. He does that. It's not a fan of Gareth Southgate in that way.
Yeah, and there's going to be, like, you know, 2 defensive mids playing in front of a back 5 and stuff. But yeah, anyway, I definitely think we can get Champions League. If we can get Champions League, we can push on. The only thing is, if we don't, we might have to sell like one of our key players just for FFP, which is obviously broken as well.
Leon Bailey to Arsenal, that would be a great deal. That'd be a fantastic deal.
I mean, to be honest, I read today that Arsenal after Ollie Watkins. And
yeah, I saw that as well.
And for me, the only thing that Arsenal are missing is, you know, probably a 20-goal striker. And that, you know, that could win him a title, because as much as I like Jesus, he's not that. I know Trossard's like another option, but I don't know, maybe Nketiah, he's the man. But the difference between like Man City and Arsenal, like I feel like Arsenal did so well last season, and they should have gone on to do it. But the difference between them and City, I don't know, like, maybe was it more goals, maybe a better defense? I don't know.
Maybe it was that number 9 position as well, because Sara mentioned a couple of weeks ago how Ivan Toney would be a really good signing for Arsenal in that number 9 position. And Sara, would you say that Ivan Toney or Ollie Watkins would be more of a preferred choice for Mikel Arteta's style of play? What would you think would be right for Arsenal going forward?
Oh, it's hard to say. I mean, right now, I think Ollie Watkins' form is undeniable. And with Ivan Toney coming back from his 6-month ban, we kind of have to see how the rest of the season does for him. I mean, he came back and he scored. Like, he is that guy, it seems. But I'd say until the season's over, then you can only compare. If he ends up scoring, you know, to 10 or 12 goals until the end of the season, I'd say, like, you know, either or, Mikel Arteta would be happier with. But I think overall right now, you can't deny Ollie Watkins and what he's doing. And I completely agree that he isn't being talked about as much as some of these players for the bigger clubs, right?
Definitely. It's true. We've got a lot more to talk about over the season as it goes along, but it's good to see that Aston Villa are still competing within that top 4 race. At this time of speaking, that was a convincing win against Fulham.
Wait, can I ask a question to Saalim just about Aston Villa and making the top 4? Because your schedule is tough. Like, your schedule is not... I just looked at who you guys were playing, and you have to play City, Arsenal, Spurs, Liverpool, Brighton, West Ham, Wolves. Like, it's not good. How worried are you about schedule?
Well, I am worried, but we beat City and Arsenal in 1 week before, so I can't see why we can't do it again.
Mhm.
The way we outplayed Man City that day, if we could, if we can turn up like that, is difficult in this league. And I don't know, maybe we'll have to rotate a bit, try get, like there's players that haven't been playing too well, like Diaby's not been playing well lately. Ramsey's sort of just coming back. If we can sort of get them guys back and firing, then we can defo rotate and work something out between them. And there's a few kids as well, like with Kamara out injured, we've got Irobianum there. So I don't know. I feel like us losing to United that day where we dominated them and should have won, that really opened it up. Because if it wasn't for that, then the top five would have probably just stayed the top five. I don't like Spurs couldn't have messed up that badly.
Spurs would have made a
But yeah,
DVD if they outplayed Man City the way you did that time as well. They would have created like a whole like parade the way that you outplayed Man City at home that time as well. But you outplayed Manchester United in such a big way that I thought, you know what, you should have really battered us. And like I said on the group chat at the time as well, when you kept Leon Bailey on Victor Lindelof, who was playing out of position at left back, you had us on toast and you should have beaten us. But I don't know if it was more cautiousness from Unai Emery that kind of cost you in that game as well.
I feel like Bailey was tired, but like talking about Watkins, the one thing that he's missing is like in that game he missed quite a few good chances. I feel like we had 10 shots on target. As good as much as his finishing has improved, he's still not on that sort of Haaland Kane level of finishing. And when he can get to there, he'll get 30 goals for us. He's on 13 at the moment, and I back him to get to 20. Or is it 14? I think he's on 13 or 14, but I back him to get to 20 goals. But the next step for him would be to get to 25, 30, and that's when you can sort of put him in near that world class Harry Kane, Haaland bracket. That's just me.
Dusan Vlahovic, Rasmus Højlund. Chris knows what I'm talking about right there. No, not a fan of Dusan Vlahovic.
No. I've got to keep him.
Good. I'd like to see that as well, because again, it's not looking good for Juventus, especially after the weekend of what happened as well. But the title race is slipping away from Juventus. I want to hear your thoughts, especially on how you think Massimiliano Allegri can improve this Juventus side, because there is no European football, like we mentioned at the beginning of the podcast. But can you see yourselves challenging for the title? Because Inter Milan are stuck in the European they're in the knockout stage of the Champions League. Do you think that there's still a title race happening for Juventus?
No, I think AC Milan and Juve are trying as hard as possible not to be in that title race.
And Atlanta as well.
And Atlanta I thought they was trying to be in that title race. Those guys are absolutely balling out right now. But I don't know. They came off some great form starting the new year, and then recently, like past 3-4 games, they've just been a completely different team. I don't even notice this team. Like no attacking at all, no attacking football at all. They don't have any chances on net. So for Allegri, I think he has to change up something, and I think that's going to be the tactics. I do think we have to try and play a trident of Chiesa, Yildiz, and Vlahovic all at the same time. Those are
is a player though as well. Sara and I were speaking about Yildiz earlier this season. Has he been a promising light for Juventus moving forward, or do you think it's going to have to be something where you still have to build around Vlahovic and Chiesa going forward?
For sure, I think this might be the player to build around. To be honest, Yildiz
really is that good?
He looks like the real deal. Like when he plays and when he doesn't play, you could tell a difference in our attack. He's literally our creator and brings the ball forward and beats the man. We don't have too many of those. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, he's got that X factor from what I've seen about him as well. He's got that X factor in a normally slow game as well. You want to see more from him going forward. And I think Allegri's like kind of managing his minutes at this time of speaking. And I want to see more from him because it excites me when you see players like that burst onto the scene at a big club like Juventus as well, from my point of view anyway. But can you expect anything more going forward with Juventus? Because I'm looking at Juventus, I'm thinking you will be in the Champions League next season. That's without a shadow of a doubt as well. But do you think it needs to be changed from the boardroom? Do you need to be changed in terms of personnel, tactics, besides the front three that you mentioned as well? Is there anything else you think you can change to kind of close this gap on Inter Milan?
I don't know how much you could close the gap because Inter's looking like an unstoppable force right now. They're absolutely destroying everybody. And I think they might get a win against Atletico today. But to close this gap, I think, honestly, I don't think we change anything in the boardroom. Maybe we get rid of Allegri, but I don't think that's like the main problem. I think we need a deeper squad.
Bring back Conte. Bring back Antonio Conte.
I actually don't want Conte.
The dominance was crazy back in the day. What, 10 years of titles is crazy to think about. But
it was a dominance.
Who would you go for?
The league wasn't that good.
Yeah, it's true. We said that last week as well, which is like it was just a banter era of Serie A. But now you're getting that extra position in the Champions League for next season, that 5th position, which is crazy to think about. But who would you want as the next Juventus manager, Chris?
A little shout out to I don't know if he would come to Juve because he's an ex-Inter Milan player, Thiago Motta at Bologna.
Oh, the boy is playing some fantastic football at Bologna again.
What are
Sara
you doing
knows
for
what
that
I'm
team?
talking about. Sara knows football.
He's
Crazy.
coming to Barca, Chris. Calma.
Okay, if you think he's coming to Barca, you're gonna have to
We
keep
had
dreaming,
a
I guess.
whole half of our podcast last week with Luca from Italy. We spoke about Thiago Motta coming to Barcelona, and Scout Hamz is out here thinking the move's gonna happen.
No.
I honestly think it'd be the perfect move for Thiago Motta. If he goes to Juventus, Inter fans will not be happy with that as well. There's always a certain Jose Mourinho. There's Hansi Flick available as well. Nagelsmann after the Euros. That would be fantastic
Thomas
as well.
Tuchel's about to be available.
Thomas
I hope you
Tuchel is just
I hope you
going to
guys
be
get
sacked.
Tuchel.
That'd be from bad to worse, from Allegri to Tuchel, in my opinion, as well. The way he's butchered Harry Kane, all that hard work for Harry Kane. We'll get on to later on with Bayern Munich and RB
Poor
Leipzig.
Harry Kane.
Poor guys. I'm not going to say poor Eric Dyer because he takes failure everywhere he goes. Matt knows about that too. Sporting Lisbon, Spurs, Bayern Munich is not his place as well. But someone who's found his place in the Premier League is Rasmus Højlund. Rasmus Højlund, again, outscoring crazy. I've been looking at some stats today, and I'm not a stats person, as everyone knows, our listeners, our co-host knows, but I need to read some stats out because it's been quite cool to see it. So again, Rasmus Højlund is the youngest ever player to score 6 in 6 successive Premier League games since Joe Willock did a couple of years ago for Newcastle. He's already outscored the following foreign players in their first Premier League season. So it's Mohamed Salah, Romelu Lukaku, Robin van Persie, Son Heung-min, and Arsenal's Nicolas Anelka, Matthew, as well. So it's done really well in this time of speaking. I'm very happy, of course, as you know, because I said at the beginning of the season, Rasmus Højlund is the truth. He is a fantastic player. I watched him at Atlanta last season. I thought he was fantastic. Saalim can back me up on this one as well. And the fact that Saalim actually had the opportunity to watch Rasmus Højlund's first Premier League goal live against Aston Villa, I know he's backing away from the camera, being a bit shy. But again, Saalim, I've got to ask you about Rasmus Højlund. Have you been impressed with him this season? Because he has had a lot of stick go his way, but the fact that he's not in control of the price tag, but is in control of what he can control on a football pitch. His instincts are still there for a natural goal scorer. He can shoulder the ball in like a Mario Balotelli did against Norwich. I think he did once upon a time as well. What's your thoughts on Rasmus Højlund this season, Saalim?
Yeah, it was quite typical that he didn't score for, what was it, 15 games, and then he scores against us and then doesn't stop scoring. So, you're welcome for that. But he's got the attributes, of like a quality striker. He's a bit hard done by, playing in front of people like Anthony and Sancho and stuff. So he doesn't really get the opportunities. But you have to remember, like, from the second that he came to the Prem, he was being compared to Haaland. Like that was the only thing that was going to happen.
It was the hair. It was the hair and the surname. That's all it was, man.
But you have to remember, like, when Haaland came, he had a few more moves. He had Dortmund as well in between, and was it Leipzig he was at before that?
Salzburg.
Salzburg, sorry, yeah, one of the Red Bull teams. But he had, like, I think he had more experience when he came, so he went on that sort of journey and developed. Whereas Højlund sort of, he's not had the same time to develop, and now he's sort of at a big club in Man United. He's still got the attributes. He's got pace. He can hold the ball up. He's got a good first touch and he's a decent finisher. He just needed time, and I can see him getting 15 goals next season, 20 goals next season. But his biggest problem was that he was going to get compared to Haaland from day one, and the price tag wasn't obviously great. But no, I feel like if he can get more chances, then he can definitely get to at least 15 this season.
Yeah, exactly. Because we're looking at a Manchester United team that are devoid of making chances for their clubs. And we saw on the weekend as well, Matthew, I'm going to come to you in terms of how Man United should have killed that game against Luton, because realistically speaking, Luton have challenged Liverpool at home. They challenged Arsenal at home as well. And you're looking at Rasmus Højlund scoring 2 goals, but you're seeing Bruno Fernandes miss a great one-on-one. Garnacho missing a great one-on-one. Højlund missing a chance for his hat-trick as well. Is there a creativity void for Manchester United compared to some of the top teams in English football? What do you think, Matthew?
I think there is. I feel like we haven't seen Bruno, like when he first comes to the Premiership, and he was absolutely destroying it. Goals, assists, and we're putting up all these numbers of what he was doing. It is with United at the moment. I feel like 2-0 is a dangerous scoreline anyway. But you always feel like with Man United, 1 goal goes in. And I think it's kind of like Spurs are the same as well. Like, you're like, when's the equaliser coming? Like, you instantly just think it's to come. And I feel as well with Casemiro, where he doesn't have the legs. So players are just getting past him easy. We saw Marcus Rashford's pressing. I'm sure everyone saw how awful that was.
He needs another. He needs another night in Belfast. That's all I'm saying about Marcus Rashford. Send him there again. He'll love it.
You know what I mean? So yeah, I feel like United are really lacking it, but because I look at them and Kobe Mine has been fantastic. He's been a revelation for you guys, and
Baller.
Bruno. Yeah, but I feel like without Bruno, I don't really know who else you guys will put in that position. I think every club's got that player, like Arsenal, Odegaard. You look at City, KDB. We know Foden if he's not doing it. Even Villa, we talk. Leon Bailey. We talk about
Douglas Luiz.
Douglas Luiz, who's
John
been again absolutely phenomenal. Tottenham got Maddison and all these guys. So like, I think that's what United are really lacking, and they're just getting away with certain games. Could have easily as well drawn that game. Bruno decided to take a shot instead of keeping the ball in the corner again. So
stupid.
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah, because my issue with Bruno Fernandes, and Sara knows all about this as well. You're looking at him and you're like, he's doing way too much as a captain. I think with the captaincy, it's kind of burdened him to run more, to press more. And every time he gets the ball, he's just bloody exhausted. And you're looking at him thinking, as a player, he is looking like a shell of himself, because we've spoken about Casemiro looking like a shell of himself. We've spoken about Rashford looking like a shell of himself. But Bruno Fernandes, as a captain, I'm not saying he's not captain material, because no one else is fully fit all the time and availability is the best ability, like we've said previously. But when you're looking at him as a player compared to scoring a hat-trick on the opening day of the season against Leeds, or you're seeing him score outside the box bangers versus Everton at Old Trafford, to now when he can't finish a one-on-one against Luton to finish the game off, to kill the game off, it's not looking great for Bruno Fernandes. And maybe that is an Erik ten Hag flaw in terms of the style of play, the way that we're trying to press, because once you get past Bruno Fernandes and Kobe Mainoo in the midfield, you're then stuck with Casemiro, who's left all by himself. Our fullbacks don't invert like Man City, so he's not supported at all. They're still on the wing. And then you've got Casemiro versus Barkley and 2 or 3 other players. Lokonga was fantastic against Luton as well. And
just quick one. Just quick. I feel like with them type of players, when they're doing a lot more defensive work, by the time they get the chance to do that role in that position, they struggle. You look at Man City, the way they play. KDB rarely has to do the tracking back. So by the time he's always able to deliver them passes and killer balls and got energy to do it. And I think Pep Guardiola said something ages ago with Götze, and he said, you just stay there. Our players here will find you. Just do your job. And I feel like Bruno had that when he first started, which is why we saw him have a phenomenal start.
Exactly, because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer played football through Bruno Fernandes, and now Erik ten Hag's system is kind of just overbearing for a lot of players, respectively as well. Will we finish top 4? I think we will, but that will be a topic for another day, because it's looking very difficult right now for Manchester United to control games and to actually see out games properly as well. But what we are seeing out now is our topics of conversations for our clubs. Everyone, well done in that as well. Chris, this is where you get to shine, because we are talking about your favourite topic of the season, top 10 Champions League players of this season, where unfortunately Juventus weren't in at all. But Saalim,
a couple of Juve players. No, I'm joking.
UV players on loan elsewhere. That would be crazy. But this is where everyone gets to share their top 10 lists as well. It won't be like a normal draft or a top 10 that we've done before, Sara, Saalim and Matthew. It won't be anything like that at all. We're just going to name our top 10s 10 to 1 in terms of who we think have been the best players in the Champions League to watch from our own personal point of views as well. So firing away with, you know what, Sara? Let's go with you. I want to hear your top 10 list.
I hate this.
Come on,
how much I hate a list, especially like an ordered. This could be.
Let's do it in no particular order, because if it means
that's how I feel, yeah. Because I feel like
I'll put a certain player in there, and you know that I'm going to put him as first, just because I'm going to put him in. So again, no pressure for everyone, but here is everyone's top 10 Champions League players of 2023 to 2024. Sara Pararia, go ahead, my friend.
All right, I'm going to go with a bit of an outsider here. Just as I was going through the group stage and kind of reminding myself of who really stood out. Number 10, I chose Mauro Icardi, because he really saved Galatasaray in that group stage. And I feel like we want to give a shout to some of those teams that maybe didn't make it through to the round of 16. So we have 10 as Icardi, 9, Julian Alvarez. Like, there's no way he's not going to make it. You know how much love I have for La Araña, and he's been fantastic for Man City. Kind of stepping in when Holland wasn't there. And that was throughout just the Prem and the UCL. Number 8, we're going to the Serie A for Chris, and it's going to be Ciro Immobile, especially after what happened last week and Lazio beating Bayern Munich when no one really thought that they could, maybe. And Ciro Immobile proving time and time again that he is one of the best strikers that Italy have created. 7, I have Alvaro Morata. I can't stress enough how much his resurgence has been incredible for not only Atletico Madrid, but Spain as well. Truly, truly fantastic. I think 32 years of age. Incredible, incredible by him. 6 is Rodri. I don't even think I need to say anything.
I'm just surprised it's at 6.
I'm surprised he is too. That's why I like, you could switch this around for me. There's probably some players that could be higher.
That's
or
right.
lower.
No particular order. It's all good. It's all
Yeah, exactly. I have Mbappe at 5, which I'm not really pleased to have him in this.
Remember, we never had him in our Champions League draft as well, so he was out there for a reason.
Oh, I know, but like, just with the way Paris have been playing, I just don't like giving them any credit right now. But you can't dismiss Mbappe has carried that team through the Champions League this season, as he usually does. So I think it'd be foolish for us not to put him in there. Going for Matthew's boy at number 4, Bukayo, because he is actually a little edge and has had a stunning Champions League career thus far. Porto will be a massive test for Arsenal, so let's see how he does. But he's really shone so far in the group stage, and it's been great watching him kind of, rise and gain confidence. 3, Erling Haaland, shock, absolute shock. Number 2 and number 1, I think, are interchangeable potentially, but it's going to be Jude Bellingham and Antoine Griezmann, because the boys in Spain are dancing for both sides of Madrid. Jude Bellingham, we've seen what he's been able to do at Real Madrid in the league level, in the Champions League level. He's been unstoppable. Yes, he's injured now, but I think he will return shortly. It doesn't seem like a massive injury, and he will keep on dancing. And Antoine Griezmann is that guy. And I think he's so underrated. I'd be happy to put him at the top of my list just to give him the flowers he deserves.
Nah, excellent list as well. Chris, go ahead, my friend. Who's your top 10 list? I'm guessing you just made it now.
Oh, no chance. I have all the stats and everything. I made this a while ago.
I'm ready for it. Let's hear it, Chris.
Okay, so no order here. So,
Let's do that.
No pressure.
So my first guy on the list is Kobel from Dortmund. 6 games. He has 3 clean sheets. He's been absolutely instrumental for this Dortmund team. Without him, I don't know if they top that group of death.
That Newcastle game was crazy for Kobel as well. So it goes to show that he won that game basically by himself.
He definitely makes my top 10. I'll have to put in your boy Højlund.
Yes.
6 games, 5 goals. That's absolutely insane for a 21-year-old.
In his debut season in the Champions League as well.
I was about to say that. I believe that's his debut season in the Champions League. Absolutely insane. And he was enjoyable to watch. Like, he was probably the only player on Man United for the Champions League. So,
and the Premier League, he still is basically.
And for the Premier League, we'll go with that too. Yeah,
the whole season, just thinking of the whole season. It's just Rasmus Højlund FC is what I'm calling it now.
Okay, so we got those 2. We're gonna put Philly Fodes. So Phil Foden in there, 6 games, 4 goals, 3 assists.
Baller.
So he absolutely balled out in the group stage. I wouldn't say he was their best player in the group stage, because another player I have on this list was, but he's definitely in my top 10. I have a couple of Man City players in this, so I'll throw them all out there. How about that? Haaland is also on there. 6 games, 5 goals, 1 assist. He's Mr. Champions League now. He's replaced Ronaldo in Champions League. Nothing else to say about Haaland. He's got to be there. I think he's my best player in the world right now.
Sure.
And that's Rodri. My best player in the world. He's absolutely insane for this Man City side. With, as you said before, they win, and without they lose. So
the internet hated me for choosing Rodri over Declan Rice. So I'm happy about the Rodri one as well. But everyone, the point is, I'm going to defer to Matthew for this one as well. But Matthew, just a quick question regarding that. Do you think Declan Rice could do the same job Rodri does for Pep Guardiola and Manchester City? Just a yes or no?
No, but could I just, sorry, I know you said yes or no, but what I want to say is, I think, I don't know, I just hate Rodri, but I can't deny it. But listen, he is so clutch. Sorry, Sara, but
you are a hater. Spice Adams is a hater.
He's so clutch as a player. I could not hate at all. He's so clutch. But for me, I'm a Busquets over Rodri guy. Just so you lot know, that's just me. That's just me.
Why does there have to be one or the other? They're different generations.
No.
And
Rodri centre back at the World Cup
of what Busquets was. They are so similar in the way they play. I've never met someone who said they like one and not the other.
Yes, I prefer Busquets over Rodri. That's just
wow. I think I do too, but that doesn't mean I don't have the love for Rodri. Like, I'm loving Chris putting on Chris putting Rodri on the platform here. I love it.
Baller. Favorite player right now in the world. We'll go next.
It's peak for Gleason Bremer right now, or Danilo. Juventus is not getting any love from Chris right now.
No. Bremer is talented, but like not
He's
Rodri.
not there yet. He's not there yet.
Yeah. Next we'll go with Bukayo Saka. He's been absolutely balling out for Arsenal. They look like they were never left Champions League with Saka in this lineup. He has 5 games played, 3 goals, 4 assists. So that's pretty insane. Yeah, he's just rubbing his hands over there. I see it.
He's ready for it.
He's been a baller in the Champions League this year. I'm gonna put a player that's playing actually right now, and that is Acerbi for Inter Milan. He is a very underrated player just because he's oldest center back on this Inter team. No one realizes that he is the one who took this Inter team to the next level.
Remember, he battled cancer and he came back to professional football as well, just like Sebastian Haller.
And he came in as a Skriniar replacement. Those are some hard boots to fill. So for him to come in and replace Skriniar with ease and
first season Champions League final as well.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
He's been great. So he has 3 clean sheets. He's only played 5 games and 3 of them were clean sheets. So next up we have Harry Kane.
Nice.
I believe I didn't say this one yet, right?
Yeah,
7 games, 4 goals, 3 assists. Not much to be said. The Bayern Munich team is on a downhill, but he's still plateauing on that high.
It just reminds me of Spurs, doesn't it? It's like you're seeing Spurs
Pretty
plateau under Antonio Conte. Kane's still shining. Thomas Tuchel's now plateauing with Bayern Munich. Kane's still shining. It's crazy to think about.
Yep. Then my last 2 here, as well, same as Sara, they're interchangeable for number 1 and 2. These will be my top 2 as well. Griezmann and Jude. Griezmann with 6 goals. 6 games, 5 goals, and then Jude as a midfielder, 5 games, 4 goals, 3 assists. Are you kidding me? That's absolutely insane. Okay, no, it's not interchangeable. Jude is 1. Jude is 1 on the list. Griezmann's 2. And that's
I'm liking that one as well. Saalim, go ahead. I'm hoping you've been watching Champions League this season as well, and I'm hoping you're going to go for a pretty biased list because I know you've got a few favourites in this list as well, Saalim. Where are we going for this one?
Yeah, I can't put any Villa players in, but I'm just going to do 5 because my club's not in the Champions League, so I don't qualify to do 10. I don't watch enough Champions League. So my top 5 in any order, I'd start with Højlund.
Yes.
I feel like his Champions League goals have kept some of the pressure off him because he's proven that he can score. Imagine he went 6 without any goals. And I'd say that Galatasaray game was probably the best game I watched of all the games. Not that I've watched many, but yeah, that's probably the best one. Then I'll go for Saka. I feel like his return's really good, for another English player doing really well.
So young as well. People forget that what 21.
People forget because he broke through at such a young age that you sort of forget how good he actually is. Then I'm gonna go for Julian Alvarez. I feel like he's been quite clutch for Man City. They've missed De Bruyne, so he's played as a 10. Haaland's been out, so he's been playing up front. And he can play anywhere across that front 3-4 positions. So yeah, definitely rate him. Then I'm gonna go Griezmann.
Yes.
The one thing that I do know about Griezmann is that stat that between being at Barca and Atleti, both teams won the league and he didn't. And I just feel so bad for him for missing out both times. But there's still a chance for him that he can do it. Or if not, he could always join the Prem big clubs there like Villa after him.
Just not Tottenham.
Yeah, he's not gonna go there.
It's like when Ivan Perisic went to Tottenham, and you're like, "What is this guy doing here?" It's like Polar Bear in Arlington. I think that's the name of it as well. I thought.
Yeah, that's it. What's the Polar Bear doing in North Ireland? Whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
But my top one's gonna be Jude, obvious reasons, and I'm so surprised at how good he's actually doing. I never thought he'd be this good, but there's talk of Mbappe going to Real Madrid next as well, so they're going to be deadly there. And I don't know, I feel like if Real Madrid, I predict Real Madrid to win the Champions League actually, and the major factor of that is Jude Bellingham leading him towards it.
Yeah. Coming back from his injury as well, the game against Leipzig, he may be fit for the second leg, but we'll have to wait and see what happens there. Nicely done there with your top 5 Champions League players to watch this season, in the 2023-24 season. Matthew, the time is yours to shine. If you want to put a whole Arsenal team in there, minus Ben White, by all means, because that tan is awful. Where are we going with this one, Matthew? Where are we going?
You know what? Like, I keep saying this, Daniel. I'm not going to look at Chris. Yeah, no particular order. Yeah, but I've got a lot of similar names, and I'm so happy. And just to prove it as well, let me zoom in on this one. Kobo. Is it Kubu? Kobo?
Yeah, Kobo.
Kobo. Yeah.
Listen, do you know what, Hamz? As you know, I try and play keeper time to time, right?
You
So
were a professional keeper until the age of 22, so it happened.
No, you know what?
They called you the East London Iker Casillas, so it's one of those things.
Oh my god.
Talent.
But no, honestly, he's been phenomenal, and he made a save. I think it was against Newcastle. I think it was away there. Yeah, and I was like, you know, this, and I watched him last season. I think in the Bundesliga, I was looking at these type of keepers that will replicate Neuer or become that type of, have that stature, and I think he's phenomenal. Yeah, he's a great goalkeeper from what I've seen. Rodri I put on the list. I don't know why, but Rodri.
I hate Rodri. I hate Rodri.
My top 10.
Listen, Rodri. Listen, at the end of the day, he's a clutch player. He's City's most important player. I know people say Haaland, but without Rodri, I don't think they've really won when he's not playing. I don't. Yeah, they don't really win. But yeah, again, I'm not going to dwell on him. I put Immobile as well. I feel like he's just everlasting. Right? I literally just watch him. I'm like, is he still going? This guy scoring goals, and he's just a goal scorer. That's all he does. And
record breaker.
By last week, scoring as well. My guy Bukayo Saka, he's got to go in there. The real star boy. Is he world class? Is he not? Argue with Rio Ferdinand, not me. Harry Kane, I've put in there again. Class goal scorer. Has gone to Bayern, scored goals. I know it's not Champions League, but has he broken a record? Lewandowski's record?
Yeah, he did in the Bundesliga. So he's closing on 30 goals as well within like 5 games less than Lewandowski has scored as well.
Again, quality player. I put Morata on here, but I just want to say something about Morata that baffles me, right?
Oh,
this guy had so many different moves. I was like, whoever his agent is deserves an absolute big pay rise. But
Morata.
Yeah, like I just
pure. It's a pure money laundering scheme, isn't it?
I'm telling you, like, I'm like,
Juve is the prime
how
of
is he doing it? You know what I mean? But he's been quality, like, and he's one of them.
Spain now, isn't he? I swear he's captain of Spain. He's captain of Spain, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Captain.
He is, because we got no one left. That whole gen is now gone, right?
Give it to Rodri. Give it to Rodri. That's what I say.
I think Rodri is one of the captains as well.
Rodri or Pau? Probably Pau, probably best bet.
Pau Torres would be good.
Pau, sit down. Sit down.
I've also got Mbappe on there. But like Sara as well, like, I don't really like PSG too tough. I feel like with them, the whole money thing, but he's there, and he's got to be up there. One in place. Haaland, again, speaks for himself. The last two, again, Bellingham and Griezmann. And I've gone Griezmann because I feel he doesn't get enough credit at all. I don't know if you guys saw that Celtic performance, when they played them and the passing range, because
the home game, the home game.
He was phenomenal. The passing, just everything. I love the guy. When I watch him, I'm like, I wish he just came to the Prem once just to see what he would do there.
Todd Bowley will be listening to this and he'll sign for Chelsea next season.
Now, God forbid. No.
Just don't sign anyone, Chelsea. We don't want room plays.
Him and Jude, the top two. I think with Jude, again, it's, you've got a guy from England that's gone out there. He took Zidane's number. Just doing that alone just shows you the type of boss he is. And they're talking about, was it taking his logo? He's going to be doing this. It's going to be like a Jordan little logo. So, superstar. Absolute superstar. But yeah, them two up top for me.
Superstar list from Matthew as well. Nicely done. My top 10 list in no particular order to follow what the crew have done. So I've gone for Marcus Thuram. I'm making his presence known because I've said it recently as well. I think he's one of the best free transfers that we've seen in recent years. Going to Inter Milan has been a much better replacement for Edin Dzeko. Chris will know that Romelu Lukaku was marketed as a really big Inter Milan player last season, but he wasn't, because Edin Dzeko and Lautaro Martinez was the main partnership under Simone Inzaghi. And Marcus Thuram has been a killer up front for Inter Milan. I think besides Alejandro Grimaldo, he's probably one of the best two signings, the free transfer signings that we've seen this season, in my opinion. And obviously with Kylian Mbappe going to Real Madrid, that would just eclipse it tenfold in my opinion as well. But Marcus Thuram makes my list for me. Rasmus Højlund, of course, I have to give him his flowers because, again, scoring the goals he did in the Champions League, his first goal against Bayern Munich away, Matchday 1, fantastic finish he has on him as well. And I think Rasmus Højlund will leave Man United in 3-4 years' time. I know he's a Man United fan, but he will have ambitions to grow and get better in this game. And I don't think At this time of speaking, hindsight's a wonderful thing, but at this time of speaking, I don't think Man United may be able to match Rasmus Højlund's ambition for what they've got going on going forward as well, because I don't want to see another player burn out, because I think Man United kill a lot of players, especially when you see them in the Champions League. They need to shine dramatically across European football as well. Plus, Real Madrid were linked with Rasmus Højlund as well, so I'm glad they've got Mbappe. So we've got him for a couple of years now, which is great. Jamal Musiala makes my list as well. Antoine Griezmann makes my list. Also, Harry Kane does. I've had to leave out Lautaro Martinez. I've had to leave out Vinicius Jr. to get these guys in. Kylian Mbappe, Erling Haaland, Harry Kane, Rodri I put in as well. And my last one. Actually, no, that's 10. I've counted more than 10 anyway, so that's perfectly fine.
I have 8. What are you talking about?
So,
Did you have
Højlund.
him in there? Obviously.
I've said Højlund, Marcus Thuram, Griezmann, Musiala, Haaland, Mbappe, Rodri. Yeah, it was Bellingham the last one. I think Bellingham's a given for
I think
number
that's
one.
still 9, Hamz, but
I can't count today. Let's try it again.
okay.
Marcus Thuram, Rasmus Højlund, Jude Bellingham, Antoine Griezmann. Yeah, I'm confusing myself here. I
Just
should have
throw in Onana.
No, don't do this. Don't do this to me. Don't do this. Here's the reason I lost my voice twice going to Old Trafford last season, Chris. I hated watching Andrea and Onana concede against some awful games. PTSD. He ruined my match day experience this season, Andrea and Onana. That's all I'm saying. Right. 10, Rasmus Højlund. 9, Marcus Thuram. 8, Jamal Musiala. 7, Rodri. 6, Harry Kane. 5, Kylian Mbappe. 4, Erling Haaland. 3, Rodri. Number 2, Antoine Griezmann. And 1, Jude Bellingham. I can count to 10. There we go, everyone. But yeah, everyone, the one question I want to ask you before we move on to our start bench cell. Do you think football has evolved in terms of quality of individual players? Because if we're looking back at 2014, I can name the top 10 off the top of my head. We've got Ribery, we've got Robben, we've got John Terry, we've got the likes of Ronaldo, Messi, Neymar, Gareth Bale. Looking at some of these players, and they were just unbelievable in 2014 compared to now. Chris, I want to get your thoughts on this as well, because Sara, we've spoken about it quite a lot, and then I'll come to Matthew and Saalim respectively. So everyone in their order. So Chris, go ahead. Let me hear your thoughts on what you think about the way football's changed from the last 10 years, especially going from individuals to kind of system players who work really well on the managers. Do you agree or disagree with that one?
Well, I agree. It's completely changed. We talked about this on the Footy Culture podcast, actually. It's changed in a way that it helps for the team more, because you're seeing managers nowadays not really wanting that player to go off on their own and do their thing. They want it to have a tactic behind it that makes the team progress. That you can full on see it with Pep Guardiola's system. If you're not fit for that system, or you want to be selfish and you want to do your own thing, you're not playing for Pep Guardiola. Same thing for, I think, every single manager in the world besides maybe Ancelotti, because Ancelotti likes his players free flowing and to do their own thing. So he might be one of the only managers in the world that still has that, and it still works for him. So I don't know why more managers don't do it, but this is a generation of managers and tactics. This is not a generation of like
Mavericks.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Yeah, I agree as well. And Sara, I wanted to get your thoughts on this one as well, because Chris then said it's kind of the era of managers and tactics, but we only see that really at the top level, because if you're looking at lower level football as well, if we're looking at other different leagues as well, you'll notice the Mavericks a lot more because they are the ones bringing their team up. But again, do you agree or disagree with what Chris was saying just there, Sara?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think it depends on the team and the players, but yeah, I think when managers are focusing on building a much more rounded team nowadays versus even 10 years ago. But I think that also comes hand in hand with the intelligence and knowledge that we have in football and in nutrition. And in, that's why we see players that I think are so much more physical now, because they have so much more awareness of, just let's say training. But I think it's different. I don't know if I like it though. I'll be honest with you, because like even you just naming those 10 players, I was thinking, oh, those are the good days, It's such
that leads me to another question as well. Was Lionel Messi a system player at Barcelona, or was he a Maverick? Because I think he's definitely more of a Maverick than a system player. I
think he's both. Are you joking? The amount of goals he gave up to Luis Suarez alone because he was
it's crazy when you think about it. Because you're
No,
looking at
like
him.
this guy was out here doing everything. I think he was doing both. I think it's unfair if you don't say both, because I think he was a maverick in the sense of what he could do. No one in the world can do what Messi does to this day, right?
Saalim on Friday nights can do what Messi does. I assure you.
In both.
I wish.
No, that's crazy. It's crazy seeing Saalim play football again. It's unreal. But yeah, sorry, you were gonna say.
But at the same time, you saw how many times Lionel Messi also gave up goals, gave up chances because he wanted his teammates to also score. The assists he had were gifts, literal gifts. So I think it's unfair to say both. It's just because of his talent. We're going to call him a maverick, but I don't think that means he wasn't a system player as well.
Yeah, nah, that's absolutely true as well. Matthew, I wanted to hear your thoughts as well. When you're looking at managers like Arsene Wenger, who really approved of Mavericks like Thierry Henry, like Dennis Bergkamp, Robert Pires, Samir Nasri, Cesc Fabregas, Robin van Persie to an extent as well. What do you see in terms of the difference from, again, back in the day when Arsene Wenger was in the Champions League with Arsenal to kind of now with Mikel Arteta, and the system has to be so rigid? Because your last Maverick, in my opinion, was Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, and Arteta got rid of him because he didn't fit into his system. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, do you know what? I agree with what everyone else has said so far. I feel like football is all about systems. Arteta said beginning of the season, we have, 55 different ways to play. And I was like, what is this nonsense? You know what I mean? Like, I miss the good old days. And, we're talking about the 2014 Champions League. Players like Di Maria, Robin, like them type of players that just got you off your seat. You do see it nowadays, but everyone's just rigid to a system. There's too much of this, we invert here, this one does this one does that. And yeah, I feel like we've lost a lot with the football, man. And it's quite sad because I grew up on that. The Ronaldinhos. Like, I was thinking the other day, randomly, I was thinking Ronaldinho, in this current era of football, how would it work, them type of players? And I don't know if you would get the same. Like, honestly, I don't think you would. And, Arsenal, you look at the team we had, like you said, Aubameyang was, when we signed him, he was, our maverick player. Phenomenal. And obviously he's gone on to be, it's nothing personal, Arsenal. But anyway, that's up to him. But yeah, again, I just feel like football's not the same now. We still got stars, but it's definitely not like it used to be.
Definitely. Saalim, any final thoughts on that topic of conversation?
I do agree with that in a sense that I feel like it's a lot.
You've had the biggest one recently as well. Jack Grealish being a superstar at Aston Villa to be an assistant player, literally at Man City, winning all the trophies possible, but losing a lot of his identity in the game.
Yeah, I used to enjoy watching him play, and I still watch old YouTube vids of him, and he used to really get us, off our seats and stuff.
Where you punch me in the jaw after seeing Grealish score a fantastic.
I think football changed in a way, we've got less of that, but there's more I'd say it's more systems, but it's more managers' ideas on the pitch, I'd say. If you look at the sort of football we get in the Prem now, the style that Arsenal are playing, Liverpool, Villa, Man City, the list goes on, Brighton's there as well. Wolves aren't, playing too bad. So I'd say football's moved towards more of a system type, but there are still mavericks within these systems. I look at someone like Douglas Luiz, he's still defo. So somebody I'd say that is that. You look at someone like an Mbappe,
awful dance moves.
Yeah, but the one thing I would say is it's probably more of the manager's ideas coming onto the pitch and it being more structured. But I feel part of it is how you were saying that there's a lot more focus on training and fitness, and also there's a lot more research and analysis. Emery holds 2 hour, 3 hour sessions with the players. So I feel it's become a lot more. I think there's a lot more studying and stuff to it. So you could say it's probably become a bit more boring and methodical in that sense. But it never fails to surprise us every week.
Exactly, especially watching Man United every week, seeing us lose leads that we shouldn't be losing at all, which is crazy and not at all surprising as well. But what will be surprising is this week's start bench setup, because everyone's been so polite and nice with one another. This is where people will be tearing their hair out, because I think last week or so there's a video online of Paul Scholes sending a signed shirt to Andres Iniesta. I thought, you know what, I've not spoken about Paul Scholes much since I've started this podcast as well. Not really any reason why, or not reason why I haven't, but I thought for this week's start bench, so let's do a Paul Scholes themed type of start bench cell. So everyone, this is where you get to fight amongst yourselves over who has the best reasonings and why. So start bench cell, centre midfielders, Champions League Legends editions. I'm going to go for Paul Scholes, Andrea Pirlo, and Xabi Alonso. So Chris, we are going to go for you first, because Andrea Pirlo, Juventus legend after playing for Inter Milan and AC Milan. I want to hear your thoughts on which of these three registas, in a way, dominated world football in their respective leagues for their respective countries. Two of them won World Cups as well, especially seeing the dominance of Spain was something special, which Sara reminds me of every damn week. It's not a fun one to be reminded of because England should have dominated if they built around Paul Scholes, but they didn't. But again, this is where everyone gets to agree, disagree, have a bit of fun with this one. Chris, take us away. Who's your start bench star for this one?
Okay, so I might get some people to rip up their hair on this one here. I'm gonna have to sell Paul Scholes.
What? Wow.
Just because I think
No, Matthew's face in slow motion.
Oh, and he's an Arsenal fan as well.
What?
Chaos.
Just because I think Xabi Alonso and Pirlo are just like a slightly above them. I
In
know the
what way?
talent. They had they're World Cup winners, both of them. So they're both winners. Scholes had a
That's like
golden
saying Modric isn't as good as like certain players because he's not won the World Cup. That's crazy.
He has a Ballon d'Or.
It's a Ballon d'Or. You're right. Good first touch
Okay.
there, Chris. Let's hear your thoughts. So Scholes is definitely being sold then, right?
Scholes is being sold for sure, but like obviously I don't feel good about that. I know he's an immense talent. Like I have to sell someone, but Xabi Alonso I'm gonna bench here.
Ooh.
I just think that Pirlo should be the starter. Like when you think of a center or midfielder, who do you think of? It's got to be Pirlo, and it's you think of him for one reason. It's either Pirlo or Xavi, in my opinion. But so Xavi's
Not Zidane.
or okay, yeah, I forgot about Zidane. Zidane can be part of this conversation too. So there's three players, but Pirlo's the only one in this conversation. So Pirlo's definitely got to be the guy. Passing, I think he was the best passer of all these guys. Vision, best vision. But
set pieces too.
Set pieces. Defensively, I could maybe give it to the other guys because Pirlo kind of
let them walk around like Marcus Rashford did on the weekend.
Let them walk around him because they had like Gattuso beside him usually, so they didn't really have to do much. But on the ball, I think he's second to none in my opinion.
Absolutely,
and he would help the team the most. I'm Italian, so I could be a little bit biased.
You're allowed to say it, and I needed to get that reason up first of all. So nicely done. So Chris would start Andrea Pirlo, he'd bench Xabi Alonso, and he would sell Paul Scholes. Matthew, agree or disagree? Where are we going with this one?
Disagree. Mine's real quick. Start Scholes, bench Pirlo, sell Xabi Alonso. That's straight. Like, do you know what it is? I feel like, again, I'm not one of them like biased Arsenal fans. I think Paul Scholes is fantastic. Like, you look at what he did for that team from when he burst into the scene. His passing range had it, pivotal goals in big games, Champions League versus Barcelona. Sorry, Sara. Header versus Man City last minute. Like, he just always popped up and stunning goals as well. Volley, Aston Villa, Bradford. Like, the only thing he couldn't do was tackle. You know what I mean? His tackling was so atrocious, but he had everything else. And he was always that player when he played them. I was so scared of him. I was like, as long as he plays, more often than not, they're going to beat us. So, yeah, I'll put Paul Scholes up there. Pirlo, he's just classy, innit? Like, forgetting just the football, off the pitch, seeing him in his fashion, the shades, he just had it all. Left foot, nice free kicks, the penalty against Joe Hart. Like, come on. Like, just such a classy player. And right foot, left foot. And like Chris alluded to there, like, even for Italy as well, just he had everything. But Scholes was just a level above. Alonso, quality as well, but I just think the other two are a level above. I think they're a level above. Yeah, that's my opinion. Like I rate Xabi Alonso highly, but let's not forget who Rafa Benitez were trying to sell him for. Just saying, Gareth Barry. Let's not forget them days. Yeah.
Where is Benitez managing at now as well? Some random team in La Liga, isn't it, Sarah?
Yeah, he is.
What is? Do you know?
The coach is Celta de Vigo.
Yeah, literally, who got dominated against so many teams this season, and then obviously you beat them on the weekend as well, which was crazy.
I didn't even know he had a job. Oh wow.
He's lucky to be in a job after trying to sell Alonso for Gareth Barry, Aston Villa's finest, Saalim, which is crazy. Go on, Saalim, take us away. Your start bench sell, Andrea Pirlo, Xabi Alonso, or Paul Scholes. Where are we going with this one, Saalim?
Start Alonso, bench Pirlo, sell Scholes.
Why are you selling Scott? Oh, this is crazy, Saalim.
I don't know. It's just like, even when I have this debate, I know this is probably not that relevant to it, but when we say Lampard, Gerrard, Scholes, I always put Scholes number 3 and them 3 as well. Like, I don't know. Maybe that's the most common start bench sell that any sort of Premier League fan ever has. But
We're
yeah,
talking
I
Champions League here. We're talking quality. I mean,
I
Gerrard's
know,
won one
but
Champions League, Lampard's won one, Scholes has won two.
I just still think those two are clear of Scholes. I don't know.
Why are you starting Xabi Alonso? Let's hear your reasoning into this one.
I mean, he's pretty much won everything there is to win, and he was such a quality player. Like watching him, but he's a bit like Pirlo as well. Like they could both, like the pace of the game was dictated by them. So for me, it was a bit of a coin toss between the two, but they were both like clear of Scholes. Like I've got them two up there, and then there's a bit of a gap, and then Scholes. So yeah.
Contrasting opinions all round. We are three different ones. Sara, where are we going with this one? We can't go much different here because three people gone for three different ones. Where are we going with your start bench? So, and by the way, Sara has just informed me it's now 1-1.
I was
PSV
about to
Eindhoven.
comment Luke de Jong, the man, the myth, the
penalty.
legend.
What a Barcelona signing he was as well. But yeah, I think it's a bit assisted for Daniel Marlin, and now Luke de Jong scored the penalty. See, I told you it's a good game to watch. PSV Eindhoven as well. Top team to watch, but my video is behind in this game. Sara, start bench. So Paul Scholes, Andrea Pirlo, Xabi Alonso. Where are we going?
It must be a blue moon because for once in my lifetime, I'm agreeing with Saalim. And you know what? I was going back and forth as I was listening to you guys and your opinions as well. But I think this is just genuinely my opinion and who I'd rather watch. I'm not saying that necessarily any of these players are better than one another. But if you're asking me who I want to watch more, I want to watch Xabi Alonso. I want to watch Pirlo. And then I want to watch Paul Scholes.
That's
I think
crazy.
do you know what I mean? Well, I mean, if once I've seen a player win the Euros, the World Cup, and the Euros back to back to back for my team, that's the player I want to watch. I'll be honest. I'm going a little bit more because this one is really tricky. When you think about the accolades all three of these players have won, when you think about the way they play, like Chris said, the vision they have, you could take any of them and you could be happy. It's
Absolutely.
really difficult to pick and choose between these players. So I had to try and differentiate. And so I'm going to just choose on my opinion and who I'd rather watch. And one of the best players I enjoyed watching growing up as well was Andrea Pirlo. I think he has the sauce. He has that about him. And he's so cool and calm and collected with the way he does it. I think Paul Scholes is maybe being shafted here from me, but that's just based on what I would prefer watching. But for me, Xabi Alonso was just such a critical part of that Spain three-peat. And you've seen him, like Saalim mentioned, he has won something for everyone. I mean, something from basically every league. And I'm not really one to go on what players have won and statistics. I prefer looking at a player and watching them and basing it on that. But we also talk about the way Xabi Alonso plays and that deep kind of role and the way he's able to pick a player out from basically anywhere and just land that ball there. I mean, he was so special. But this, I will say, this is probably our hardest start bench so far, I think. This one's a bit of someone is getting shafted that should absolutely not be getting shafted in the end.
And in the end, our comments will still be blazed in terms of what we're going for as well, because everyone will still have a contrast and opinion to this one as well. But I think it's fair to say, I'm going to speak for everyone, but I'm pretty sure everyone's kind of gone for their personal preferences more than anything. Would you agree with that, Matthew, Chris, Saalim? In terms of personal preference? Yeah,
I would say so.
Nicely done. My start bench. So for this one, I'm going to start Paul Scholes. I'm going to bench Andrea Pirlo, and I'm going to sell Xabi Alonso. So I think Matthew had the same as me. I wasn't going to sell Pirlo for the clickbait because Pirlo was absolutely ridiculous. The talent he had when he left AC Milan, that team where they had no width whatsoever, playing that 4-4-2 diamond, to then moving over to Juventus and then dominating the league once again. Chris saw it firsthand in terms of how Antonio Conte built the team around Andrea Pirlo. You had Pogba, you had Vidal, you had Marquisio. 4 centre midfielders basically causing a shield, really, so Andrea Pirlo could dominate with Morata, with Tevez, as well as strikers. Mandzukic was there for a time. Higuain eventually moved to Juventus. But it was a fascinating time to see Andrea Pirlo. Xabi Alonso won the Champions League in that iconic comeback against AC Milan. Prime AC Milan with Andrea Pirlo as well for Liverpool back in 2005. So a fantastic player. Played under some of the greatest managers of all time and may even become one of the greatest managers of our modern era as well. But in terms of the player, absolutely fantastic. One of my favourite players to watch from Liverpool. I think I've said it on record, but I'll say it again. My favourite ever Liverpool player is Xabi Alonso for what he's done in the game. He's incredible to watch. And unfortunately, I'm going to have to sell him because Paul Scholes is my guy in this one as well. We're not really going to talk about stats and facts, but again, 11 Premier League titles. He is one of the big reasons as to why Sir Alex Ferguson was so dominant dominant for so many years as a Manchester United manager because he had a dominating midfielder like Paul Scholes who could basically find you. He could find a needle in a haystack with a football. That's how talented he was as a footballer. His passing range was, again, Chris said second to none, but I'm going to say probably joint level with Pirlo. Xavi, Pirlo, Scholes, Xabi Alonso, some amazing passes in world football.
The slander is insane.
He's been omitted so far, I should say. Zidane as well. David Beckham, incredible pass. We're going to passes for actually. Would that make a good podcast topic? Top 10 passes of all time. I thought we'll have to wait and see if that makes a cut as well. But again, Paul Scholes is fantastic. You got Xavi appreciating him, Pep Guardiola, Zidane, Henry all appreciating him as well. But again, long passes, playing around the shoulder as well, dropping the shoulder. And one thing I liked about all of these players, I'm pretty sure you all agree, the fact of them not being the strongest, the quickest, the fastest, and they all played with their mind. They played with their 2 feet and they played with their mind, and they were ready to take on anyone in world football, and they all did it superbly. And it goes to show what a talent all 3 of these players were. The fact that we all had different contrasting opinions, and I think Sara is right in saying this is our most difficult start bench cell of the season so far. Nicely done, everyone. I applaud you all for your great efforts in that one, and your reasonings as well. It's fantastic to hear it all as well. We're not going to do Scout Hamz because that guy's playing now, even Maatsen for Borussia Dortmund, so that will feel like I'm cheating. Realistically speaking, though, I do want to talk about Simon Adingra. Sorry, we spoke about him during AFCON as well, scoring again against Sheffield United in an emphatic win for Brighton and Hove Albion. We talked about Mavericks going forward. I personally think Simon Adingra is kind of a maverick under this Roberto De Zerbi system at Brighton and Hove Albion. He can take a winger on the left and he can take a winger on the right-hand side, can play on both rings as well. He's a fantastic dribbler at such a young age, at 22 years of age, 6 goals and 1 assist this season for Sheffield United. Annoyingly, that 1 assist was against Manchester United. But realistically speaking, I'm really happy to see a breath of fresh air like Simon Adingra in the Premier League as well. It's kind of like when Kaoru Mitoma came onto the scene for Brighton. Fantastic player to watch. I wanted to know your thoughts in terms of Simon Adingra being the next, actually everyone's thoughts, of course, in terms of Simon Adingra being one of the best young players in the Premier League so far this season. Sara, we'll start with you. What are we thinking?
Yeah, I mean, it's always nice to see players come from, I don't want to say like a smaller side than whatever the top 6 or what's considered the big 6 in the Prem, but it is. And a team like Brighton that was on such a high last season under Roberto De Zerbi, it was so fun to watch. And then this player kind of come from the ashes there. You love to see it. And then as well in AFCON, we spoke about him too. But it's an interesting one with Brighton because they're such a hard team to kind of figure out what they're going to end up doing in the end of the season and whether or not he should stay at a team like Brighton or maybe make that bigger move. Because right now we've seen, and it happens to so many mid-table clubs, but European football, it gets the better of these teams. The injuries, Saalim knows all about the injuries. We've seen it with Newcastle too. Couldn't even advance out of the UCL. So it's curious to me to see how he finishes off this season, but then are we going to see him make a move potentially? Because in order to kind of grow to your full potential, is it going to be him staying at Brighton? I personally don't think so.
I think it'd be a shoo-in for a player at Arsenal, personally, Matthew. I think Simon Adingra on one wing, overtaking Gabriel Martinelli and having Bukayo Saka, that's a recipe for chaos as well. Ivan Toney up front. Imagine that front 3 for Arsenal for a good 5-6 years at Arsenal. That would be absolutely fantastic because I think his style of play would suit free-flowing attack like you have up front as well. It's ridiculous to see the talent that he has. But I wanted to get your thoughts on Simon Adingra, especially with the way that we are seeing a lot less successful dribblers now in the Premier League, Matthew. We are seeing the likes of Jeremy Doku, Simon Adingra. We are seeing Luis Diaz getting a lot more plaudits because of the way they are dribbling consistently and keeping the ball as well. Shout out Kobbie Mainoo, who's been fantastic in terms of dribbling, but from centre midfield doesn't really help in this argument. But I wanted to hear your thoughts on that, Matthew. Are we losing a lot more dribblers and individuality in the Premier League for wingers, I would say?
You know, I think for a while, I think that's been the case. I think like you look now in the Premiership, you got Neto maybe as well. You look
Leon
at
Bailey.
Leon Bailey. I look at Arsenal, for example. I don't think Martinelli really takes on because, you know, like he just does the knock on and he just sprints, like he's just very quick. Saka most of the time is on the inside, so he doesn't really take on. So I do feel like we lost a lot of that. But I just want to say with Adingra, when Brighton first signed him, it was just one of them. For me, I was just like, I don't know who the guy is. Like, whatever's gonna happen. But
you don't know football, Matthew. That's why.
Yeah. No, but honestly, he's been fantastic. And only now I'm looking, like you just said, I was like, he could do well at Arsenal. And in AFCON, he was phenomenal. You know, in that final, he dragged them. You know what I mean? He really took the ball by the horns and just really pulled Ivory Coast through. So I look at him as a player where Brighton might keep hold of him one more season, but he's definitely gone after that. Like, he's going to be wanted by a lot of top teams, 100%.
Definitely. Saalim, I know you have to drop in a bit, so I just want to get your thoughts going forward. You're looking at Simon Adingra. Would you say he's got the quality to be Chelsea's next big £100 million signing from Brighton? Because when you're looking at it, they've signed 11 members of staff from Brighton. Do you know how crazy that is? Chelsea have signed 11 members of staff, from players to background staff, from Brighton and Hove Albion. Could Simon Adingra be the 12th? What do you think, Saalim?
I mean, with Todd Bowley in charge, yeah, you can just put any number next to any Brighton player. But yeah, you know, there's a, like we were talking about Brighton's model. They've got such a good model there, like, of the players that they're bringing through. Like, you know, Mitoma's not been that great this season, but he's another one. They've got Ferguson there, who looks like, you know, direct sort of another like Kane V2 type of player. So they've definitely got that breadth of talent, and they always end up finding these signings. Like Cisco, he's another one as well. I just don't understand where they find, you know, where their scouts are. Like Bowley should have just bought Brighton. And
that's a claim. That's a big claim. They should just bought Brighton and carried on.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's like you were saying, outside the sort of corrupt six, it's the players.
You're part of the corrupt six now, Saalim. You're up there. You're in the top.
We're still not. You know, even if we're on level points, they always, like, for title race, they cut us out unless, like,
they shave points off you.
Unless they want to include the team below us or something. So yeah, in terms of like corrupt six, you know, it's a bit of a mess in the Premier League. But we'll leave that for another episode, I guess.
Nicely done. It's good having you on, Saalim. It's good to have a conversation with you on the podcast as well. Look to see you soon, and I'll let you enjoy your evening ahead. I know you're busy this evening, so thanks for joining us for even for the time that you had. Appreciate it.
No worries. Take care, everyone.
Take care.
Take care, man.
Cheers. Bye.
Nicely done. Right, Matchday Preview. We've got 3 big games to go through. We are going through the Serie A, the Bundesliga, and the Carabao Cup final. Chris, you are up first because there is a top 4 battle in Italy that is going on. I believe Juventus are going to be dragged into it because AC Milan are taking on Atalanta this weekend. We've got some big matchups in Rafael Leao versus Emil Holm. We've got Christian Pulisic, who's going to be taking on Sead Kolasinac as well, former Arsenal player as well. But what I really want to talk to you mostly about, Chris, as you'll go through this preview with us, is in terms of the fact that AC Milan seem to be one of the few teams in Serie A who get quite a big injury list and continue to thrive because of their strength and depth. Is that due to the fact that they really can qualify for the Champions League, or is it the fact that they're actually out of the Champions League and in the Europa League and they can rest players after 70 minutes after dominating against Rennes in the Europa League? Let me hear your thoughts, Chris.
I'm not sure what Pioli's doing with this benching and resting players, but they're in a top 4 title race, like / title race in the Serie A. So this is not a time to be resting players like Leao, Giroud, Pulisic. I know they actually asked to be rested for that game, so it was kind of interesting that Pioli actually gave it to them, but it came back to haunt them because Monza beat them 4-2.
Crazy finish on that week.
Crazy finish. But I don't know. It's been interesting. I don't know if AC Milan has the firepower to beat Atalanta the way they're fighting right now. The Catalari is going to come back to Milan and show them why.
That's what I wanted to talk about, because Matthew, I don't know if you know this, but every league outside of the English league, when a player gets loaned out to another team, they can still play. It happened in the Bundesliga.
I never get it. I never get that.
I never understand this at all.
It's such a stupid rule in the Prem, though.
Yeah, but it's like for us, it doesn't seem stupid because it's normal. But for you guys, it seems stupid because it's not normal for us. Because it's like in the Bayern Leverkusen game, Stanisic, a centre back for Bayern Munich, was on loan against Bayern Leverkusen. He scored against his parent club, which is crazy. And CDK for Atalanta, I'm not going to pronounce his full name because I'm going to bottle it. Like someone mentioned Kavica Kvaratskhelia wrong way as well. I'm not going to mention who said Kavica Kvaratskhelia the wrong way once again, which is great as well. But yeah, CDK, talk to us about him, Chris, because again, he's been on fire this season for Atalanta. Had a very good game on the weekend as well. Let me hear your thoughts on how he can maybe challenge this Stefan Pioli look inside for AC Milan.
Oh my gosh, he is a baller. The last, I don't know, maybe 5 weeks, I think he's been scoring or he's getting some sort of GA in those matchups. But if you actually watch him play, his first touch looks like he's like one of the best in the world. His first touch, absolutely perfect. He drops on a dime right on his foot. The way he can volley a ball is absolutely insane as well. His striking ability. I don't know. They had AC Milan had the real deal on their hands, but loaned them out with obligation to buy, which I believe Atalanta is gonna take that.
It's a small price, isn't it? Like 30 million pounds. 25 even, yeah.
Or it could be, I don't know if it was pounds or what it was.
Yeah. That's just how I saw it. But yeah, I get it. Around that region, basically.
Yeah. I think Milan only make like $6 million profit on it. So that's
Club Bruges with the add-ons coming in clutch.
Yeah. So what Atalanta are gonna get for this kid is gonna be triple the price at least, because this guy's the real deal.
And they know how to sell a player at Atlanta. We heard last week, Sara, about how, or Luca told us about how their sporting director loves to have a markup on their prices. Rasmus Højlund selling for £80 million, Amad Diallo for £40 million as well. So all of these young players coming through. If Charles de, let me pronounce, I'm going to give it a go. Charles de Ketelaere. Did I pronounce it right, Chris?
I say Charles de Ketelaere.
Ketelaere.
But that could just be like an Italian thing, but I don't know exactly.
I'll give it a go. Charles de Ketelaere. We'll go into it as well. But with this AC Milan side as well, Sara, do you think they are going to be a big challenger for... We're not going to talk about the top four because I think they're going to get the top four, but do you think they're going to be one of the favourites for the Europa League with some of the teams that they've got in, Bayern Leverkusen, Liverpool in the next round potentially as well? What do you think, Sara?
After what I saw in the Champions League, I don't think so. They
bipolar is a word to describe that team. It's crazy.
Yeah, and we've seen them with certain injuries. You know, at the beginning of the season, Yassine Adli, Noah Okafor as well. I mean, I get that, but I think all teams are experiencing injuries at this point. I don't know what it is about Milan. They can't seem to, with the players that they have, kind of get into a consistent, you know, string of wins. It doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense to me. To me, this Milan side should be way ahead of Juve in the Serie A. It doesn't make any sense, but they can't seem to get it going. So Chris is out here riding the wave. I think if they go up against a team like you mentioned, a Liverpool, a Bayer Leverkusen, I mean, even I'd say some other clubs. I can't quite remember.
Brighton, Simon Adingra.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, I think it depends what Milan we're gonna get on the day. That's basically what it comes down to.
If Leao turns up or not, basically.
Absolutely. Yeah, him, Pulisic, and, you know, a Giroud header in the 90th.
You got to be done.
A lot of the game revolves around Leao if he wants to turn up or not. Like, if he doesn't turn up, they just have a terrible game. When he does turn up, that's the Milan you want to see, because it's two different Milans.
It's very similar to Man United and Marcus Rashford as well. But this season is kind of a lot less like that because we're relying upon Rasmus Højlund. But last season, it was like Rasmus Højlund would turn up a lot for Atalanta in the second part of the season, but he had a whole proper team at Atalanta around him. This season, he doesn't have a proper style of play around him at Manchester United. But last season, it was get the ball to Rashford, get it to Bruno. Let's see if they can create some magic. And it worked so well for Marcus Rashford. This season, not so much from a Man United point of view. But excellent preview there for AC Milan versus Atalanta. The top four will not be decided this weekend, but it's going to be a big game in Serie A. Matthew, it's your time to shine, my friend. We are going to the Bundesliga. We are talking about RB Leipzig taking on Bayern Munich. Harry Kane. I wanted him to succeed. I went out on a limb saying that Harry Kane would win a trophy before Heung-min Son with Sara earlier this season. Then South Korea got knocked out of the Asia Cup, which is crazy to think about. Are these two ever going to win a trophy, Matthew? Are you looking at Son? Are you looking at Kane thinking, you know what, they're just going to be trophyless going forward for the rest of their career? And what's your thoughts on Bayern Munich taking on RB Leipzig after 3 losses in 9 days?
Do you know what? Surely Bayern can't lose like this one as well.
They can. That team is looking good for RB Leipzig. They definitely can.
You know what's so funny though? You look at this Harry Kane thing and you thought it was a dead cert. Everyone was saying, you're going to go, you're going to get your first trophy. It's guaranteed. And then Xabi Alonso just does a madness with his team.
Witchcraft has appeared on Harry Kane. That's all I'm saying. Someone's put juju on him.
It's just incredible. But you know what? I look at this Bayern team and I feel like going forward, it's never been an issue up top. Like, no matter who they've had, they've always had Kingsley Coman when he was fully fit, Gnabry, all these other guys, Kane, even Choupo-Moting when he was banging goals. But I feel Thomas Muller, but defensively, I think no matter what they do, it just never works. Like, they've signed Kim from Napoli, and I thought, oh, well, okay, they're getting there. They lit his benching. How he starts Upamecano, I'm sorry. I
said it right. I love it.
This guy, now, and it's not just because I love Saliba. Everyone knows I love Saliba, right? But Upamecano is just a walking mistake. Like, he's honest, he's awful. Red. I think did he get? I think, was it 2 red cards in a row or
2 red
Yeah,
cards in a
2
row.
in
Back to
one
back.
week. UCL and Bundesliga.
like?
Sarah,
I don't-
I'm gonna clip this out of spite for those guys that commented, "Oh, you don't watch Bundesliga football. You don't think Upamecano's that good. He gets a red card in the Bundesliga against Bochum." I'm just like, it's proved our case right.
Honestly, I watch him and I feel like, because remember when it used to be him and Konate together
At
and it was
Leipzig.
like, you remember that, and everyone would say Upamecano was the guy. I remember I wanted him at Arsenal, and I was just watching now thinking, thank you God for that, because no, honestly, he just, even was it Man City when Haaland barged him, and there was a clip where they were like, stay on him, like he literally just an error waiting to happen, and yeah, it's quite bad what's going on there. I think I don't know the director's name. He come out and said, we don't have to talk about sacking managers and getting rid. But I feel like with Bayern, they're probably looking at seeing what might happen in the second leg. I think once the second leg goes, then they're looking for, you know what, maybe it's time to get rid. But where do they go? You had Nagelsmann, you went for Thomas Tuchel. Was it Xabi Alonso? You know what I mean?
Imagine Hansi Flick, Xavi,
Yeah,
maybe.
Hansi Flick, I've heard that rumor quite a bit now.
You know what I mean?
It's just a German coach merry-go-round.
Yeah, and I feel like with them, there's just a lot of the players there that are disgruntled. Like Joshua Kimmich didn't look happy the other day. Goretzka hasn't been happy. So
they've not been happy all season.
You know what I mean? So it is a big concern, but credit to Bayer Leverkusen, and they're putting a pressure on, and maybe Bayern can't hack it.
Yeah, it's true. Sorry, let's talk about RB Leipzig and how they're challenging for a top 4 position after having, in my opinion, a very impressive game against Real Madrid last week in the Champions League, despite losing 1-0 or 2-0, I think it was last week. I forgot the scoreline. 1-0, yeah, Brahim Diaz with that fantastic goal. But realistically speaking, RB Leipzig are doing quite well this season. They beat Bayern Munich in their first game of the season, again, denying Harry Kane his first ever trophy, which is quite funny to think about. Dani Olmo absolutely killing it as well. But we've been very impressed this season with Lois Openda as well. We were talking about how he's one of the best strikers in European football right now. I wanted to hear your thoughts on RB Leipzig, and you think, can they really shock Bayern Munich away at the Allianz Arena? Again, you've got someone like Eric Dyer starting, former Spurs player who's not been that great since moving to Germany. You're looking at someone like Sasha Bowie, who's not been great since moving from Galatasaray to Bayern Munich over the January transfer. You've got Xavi Simons in form, Benjamin Sesko in form, our boy Lois Openda in form. I want to hear your thoughts on RB Leipzig.
It's one of those games where, again, you see this team in Leipzig that has no pressure on them. They're playing Bayern Munich, so if they lose, the narrative is going to be Bayern are back, it's Bayern Munich. If they win, it's going to be, the story continues, Bayern Munich on the downfall and Leipzig kind of coming up and taking advantage of it. But I think they have to go into this as clear of mind as possible, because I think the pressure is all going to be on Bayern. And then when you said Bayern can absolutely lose again just now to Matthew, I think they can, simply because they're all going to be in their heads. Seems like Tuchel has lost the locker room. So how is the player manager kind of relationship going? How are the players on the pitch getting along right now? It seems like there's many missing pieces exactly right now that I think Leipzig is a good enough side to take advantage of a Munich side. What happened? Did they score? No.
1-0 Inter.
1-0 Inter.
I'm behind. It's on in front of me.
I changed in the second half because I was behind in the PSV one, so I had to change. Oh, that's crazy. I
Oh,
won't spoil it for
no.
you. I won't spoil it for you, but
I just saw the goal scorer as well. The goal scorer is 70.
Oh, I am behind. To be fair, I was watching this game thinking, how could Inter not have scored in this match?
It was like one of the best 0-0s I've ever seen until that happened, because it was just chance after chance after chance after chance. And Morata's on the pitch now as well, so you're expecting him to score a last-minute equaliser, I'd say, as well.
No, I went for a 1-0 at the San Siro here. Take him to the Wanda, and then you can send him home.
Prime Griezmann incoming at home as well, which would be crazy to think about. But yeah, I don't see how, like, when it's a big team losing confidence and losing the way that they have the last couple of games as well, you're looking at it and you're literally thinking, like, how can it get better from here? It needs a solid performance on the pitch. It needs solid leadership. And you're looking at the leadership group in Kimmich and Müller. I'd put Neuer in there especially. And you're looking at them and you're thinking, they're not bringing it home for Bayern Munich mentally, because you're having Müller complaining to the press after the Bayern Leverkusen game, Harry Kane complaining to the press. You're having them sulk after the Lazio game in the Champions League as well. It is not looking good for Bayern Munich. And honestly, I mean, we're all here for it. We want that Xabi Alonso first title for Bayern Leverkusen. Shout out Leon, our favorite DAZN reporter as well from Germany. So I want it to be a party in Leverkusen, not in Munich this season. But you expect a lot more from Bayern Munich going ahead. And I'm expecting an RB Leipzig draw away, maybe a 2-2 draw to stop, again, RB Leipzig going into the top four. But again, stopping Bayern Munich from getting or catching up to Bayern Leverkusen as well, I would say. Right, time to shine, Sara. Your game for the weekend, Carabao Cup final, Liverpool versus Chelsea. In England, we just see it as a 0-0 ball draw because it happens too often, apart from the last time when Liverpool dominated that game at Anfield as well. Let me hear your initial thoughts on the Carabao Cup final, because there is a huge injury list for Liverpool at this moment. Thiago, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Alisson's injured for the final, Diogo Jota, Darwin Núñez, and maybe even Dominic Szoboszlai won't be returning for it, and Curtis Jones as well. I want to hear your thoughts on Liverpool, how you think Jurgen Klopp will go in for this final, especially with all these injuries. Let's hear it, my friend. Where are we going with Liverpool?
Yeah, I think before the match on the weekend between Chelsea and Man City, I would have said it doesn't matter about the injuries at Liverpool, because especially with Klopp going out this season, every game is a final for these guys. Like, they're playing for the manager, a manager they love, a manager that has done so much for the club, for the city of Liverpool. And then I watched the game that Chelsea had against Man City, and I thought, hold on a minute, are Chelsea turning this alleged corner that we have been talking about for the past, several months, and they're finally doing it now? And then to top that off with the amount of injuries that Liverpool are facing, I don't think this one is going to be as black and white as, you would have thought, let's say, even 3 weeks ago. Because I think 3 weeks ago, you would have asked any of us and we would have said Liverpool going to smash him. But it seems like Chelsea are kind of getting the wheels turning here. Pochettino is kind of trying to figure out how to get the best out of certain players. And I don't know. I hope it'll be a better match than the City and Chelsea game. I wasn't too pleased with that. But
low scoring.
Yeah, well, I mean, even low scoring, like we're watching Inter Atleti, but I mean, Inter's having a shot on goal every 2 minutes here. But
I was annoyed with Nicholas Jackson more than Erling Haaland personally, because he had the better chances to get across the line for Chelsea and have a historic win at the Etihad Stadium, and he just let it slide down because he did the Sue celebration against Spurs when he had all those chances through on goal, and you're just like, okay, have some shame. He had no shame at all, and to that game against Man City, he just couldn't replicate it, unfortunately. So I wanted more from Nicholas Jackson in that game personally.
But how classic would it be for Chelsea to win this match and win the Carabao Cup in a season where they're currently 11th or 12th in the Premier League? Like, it's the most Chelsea thing to do. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense. When Chelsea won the Champions League, 4 years ago now, we were all sitting here like, no, this is a dream. Like, it didn't happen.
No DM for Pep. Odd selection. I can't go over it to this day as well. Now he just left Rodri out and Fernandinho.
Yeah, but I think the one thing for Liverpool, like I mentioned earlier, is with Klopp's last season, it doesn't matter who you put on the pitch. There's too many players missing. They want to win as many trophies with this guy in the final season as they can. Carabao Cup's the first one to do it, so they're gonna I think leave it all on the pitch, and I think that gives Liverpool a little bit of the edge for me going into this game.
Nicely done. Good analysis there. Chris, I'm going to come to you about Chelsea because I want to hear your thoughts on how Cole Palmer has been outperforming most of his teammates this season. And a player for me personally, I've been very impressed with, and he finally got his time in the spotlight, in the media spotlight, was Malo Gusto, the former Lyon right back, who had a really good game against Jeremy Doku, who has been built up as one of these fantastic wingers to watch in the Premier League. But he kind of had him locked down all game long as well. I want to hear your thoughts on Chelsea, how Mauricio Pochettino should set up with kind of these injuries with Levi Colwill, Thiago Silva, Cucurella, Fofana, and Romeo Lavas still injured as well. I want to hear your thoughts on what Chelsea have got to offer against Liverpool. Let's hear it, Chris.
I really like this Chelsea team, even though it's not performing to the best of their ability.
Is it because of Disasi? Be honest now, Chris.
It's 100% because of Disasi, and he was man of the match in that game against City.
Amazing blocks and interceptions he had as well.
Yeah,
it was really good for him.
But they have such a young team. I think it was just a matter of time until they start clicking. Obviously, they're not clicking to their full ability yet, but they don't really have too much. They don't have too much of like those older players to like really guide these young players to like a top four or anything yet. So they're gonna need some. They're gonna need some time, and with that time, they're getting better, and we see it now. Pochettino is getting his tactics through to these young players, and I think in this final, are they going to be Liverpool? Like Liverpool has been here, done it
Against Chelsea a couple years ago
against
as well on
Chelsea.
penalties.
Like it's tough. I think Liverpool win, but as Sarah said, like I could picture Chelsea winning it on such a down year that they had.
Yeah.
It's a thing Chelsea would do.
Matthew, imagine the scenes. Raheem Sterling, 1-on-1 through on goal against whoever the goalkeeper will be. I don't know if it's going to be Carabao as well. Yeah. Can you imagine Raheem Sterling scoring against Liverpool? Liverpool
dream.
end at Wembley, his former club, because he's had a up and down season. He scored the goals, but he's not been performing well. He had that really embarrassing moment against Wolverhampton Wanderers when he should have gone through on goal. And apparently there's been a rumor that apparently Todd Bowley went into the dressing room against Wolves when they're playing at home, and he singled out Raheem Sterling for being a senior man, just like Chris said as well, being a senior experienced man in the squad and not taking ownership a lot compared to a lot of these younger players in and around the side. What's your thoughts on, again, Raheem Sterling maybe having a redemption story here for Chelsea, his first trophy at Chelsea? What do you think? What do you think about that, Matthew?
Probably will see it. Northwest London boy, Wembley, old
Boy
club,
from Brent, as they say all the time.
You know what I mean? And yeah, you can see
Tattoo on his leg, number 10 on the back.
But you know what? Yeah, it's a weird one. As Sara said, if you had asked me before that City game, I would have said Liverpool, defo. But Chelsea put up. I think this is the thing. Is it City that because they didn't perform well today? I heard again. So was it City or was it Chelsea playing well? Disaster was fantastic. I've been calling him Disaster the last couple of months. You know,
don't do this to him. Don't do this to him.
Listen, hear me out. But,
Chris will hook you up with an interview, and you're saying it's a disaster.
No, but do you know what? No, I was because he wasn't playing that well. I expected a lot more, but I feel that Poch is slowly getting it right with certain players. Like I think Thiago Silva taking him out of the team has really helped, and he's got the free midfield of Caicedo, Enzo, and Gallagher. And Gallagher,
I mean, he got injured versus Palace, so that was kind of an essential thing.
Yeah, but it obviously stumbled upon something. Nicholas Jackson's just a willing runner. He's that type of guy. He would all day just bombing on, and he could have done a lot better against City. So it's such a tough game to call. Them games are normally draw. It's been this case since them Champions League days, all these cup games that they've had. But I just feel like something with Liverpool. I feel like Klopp knew what he was doing with the timing of that announcement to tell him, because they're probably looking good. You know what? We're doing it for you, boss. No matter who's injured, we're going to win this cup. We're going to do it for you. So I can see Liverpool somehow winning it. And to be fair, I'd rather. I don't like Chelsea at all.
I think Chelsea could pull it off on penalties. Me personally, I personally think it could happen, redemption for them. But I think it will be a clean sweep of Liverpool for the four of us against Chelsea in the Carabao Cup final as well, which is crazy. But that's our matchday previews done, and that's almost our podcast done as well. Last week we had a new segment sponsored by no one, because we haven't got a sponsor for the segment yet as well, where basically we ask our audience to ask our panelists one question each to finalize the show. Sara, we've not asked a fellow co-host this time, so we are not going to get dragged in the mud. We're not having that at all. So it's all regarding your own specific clubs as well. So, Chris, being our Juventus fan, we had one for Saalim, but he had to Gareth Bale on us, unfortunately, as well. But, Chris, first question for you. This is actually your only question as well. It's a Juventus-themed one as well. Who is your favourite manager to watch as a Juventus manager, and why? In terms of style of play, in terms of success, whatever it wanted to be, as well, I should say.
That's tough. Conte really brought the emotion behind it.
But you've had boring winners as well. That's the thing.
As much as I hate to say it, I think Allegri.
Oh,
I don't know if it's because Allegri, but because he probably had my favorite side to watch when he had Pirlo, Pogba, Marquisio, Vidal, Tevez, Llorente. That team was stacked, and obviously BBC
young Morata.
He had my favorite team of all time to watch.
Is that the Champions League final one?
It was a Champions League final one, yeah, in 2015.
Nah,
we should have won that if we didn't come up against MSN.
What a moment that was as well.
Yeah,
It is what it is.
Allegri.
Nah, nicely done. Great question there. Matthew, question for you from our audience as well. By the way, it's not from a fellow co-host that we both know at all. It's just a general audience question as well. Their question is, I need you to tell the Arsenal fan, are they really in the title race or are they in the top 4 race? Do you think you're in the title race or the top 4 race, Matthew? Explain why.
I think we're firmly in a title race now. I feel like we're firmly in a title race. I think that I was saying on the earlier podcast as well, I feel like we want this expansive football that we were doing last season, but we ended the season badly. We've gone through that blip in December now, but I feel like that little triangle we've got of Gabriel, Saliba and Rice just stops us conceding goals. And as long as we have players like Trossard, Saka, Martinelli up top that are fit, I think we're going to score the goals necessary. Because you look at around, people can say it's West Ham or it was Burnley, but our issue was scoring goals. Look at the games that, drew against Tottenham 2-2. I feel like we should have, won that game. I think Aston Villa, we had chances, we weren't putting them away. West Ham at home, we had like 30 shots. You know what I mean? And we lost 2-0. So I just feel we're looking solid. You look at David Raya, no one's talking about him now. You remember when he first come, I was one of them going, oh God, look at this guy. And so, sorry, quickly, just off topic, Raya, Sara, for Spain, where is he in the pecking order for Spain?
Is he in the pecking order?
Yeah, because look at who they have right now.
Unai
Simon, who loves to
Robertson.
do one major foot disaster in every tournament he plays.
Sanchez is the other one, isn't it, Sara? The Chelsea
So
guy.
it's them
Sanchez and
three.
Raya.
Yeah, and then David Raya. So those are 3 goalkeepers
Okay.
for Spain.
Okay, but even with that, I think he's been good, and like we're just in a good place at the moment. I'm not sure. I just think for me, I think Man United, that you guys have a big say in this title race. I think whoever goes,
Spurs do as well.
Exactly. Whoever beats both of them has the best chance of winning the league, because we've beaten Liverpool. We've shown we can do it. We've beaten all these other big teams in the top 6. So I think we're firmly in there, man. We just need to make sure we score goals. But then again, do we have to let the Champions League go to do well in the league? Because I personally don't think we can do both with our squad. That's just me. So,
yeah, you did it last season with the Sporting Lisbon game when you got knocked out early, and then the whole narrative of, oh, you're going to go all in for the Premier League, and you went all in.
Yeah,
and expansive
exactly.
football kind of cost you against West Ham, Southampton at home as well.
Yeah.
So maybe lessons
exactly
will be learned as well. But I'm looking forward to seeing if Arsenal continue to be in this title race. And Sara, question for you, being a Barcelona fan. Realistically speaking, I don't know how I'm going to word this, but I'm going to word it in a certain way that makes it easier for you. Actually, no, I can word it in. Actually, there's 2 questions there for you. So I'm going to give you the easier question. One signing for the summer, not a manager, but a player who you think would suit Barcelona's style of play from the Premier League. If you could sign anyone from the Premier League that suits your style of play.
Ain't Saka, Sara, I'm logging off.
Lamine Yamal.
What came to mind right away was Declan Rice too, Barca and Arsenal have such a rich history of doing transfers between one another that I immediately went to the Gunners.
Odegaard.
No, do you know what Barca need? Oh, Saalim would actually lose it if he was on this, because Barca need right now more than anything as a striker. They need someone to score. They need, if they can hold on to Frankie in the middle. Their defense is not great, but it's fine. Hopefully they keep Joao Cancelo as well. They got big Manu Araujo there. Jules Koundé, we can bring him back to what he was, but they need a striker.
Andreas Christensen, stop forgetting about the boy Andreas.
I'm not forgetting.
Danish Player of the Year. Baller.
Please stop. How insane would Ollie Watkins be at Barca? Come on, 20 goals. Crazy. Yeah, we need a striker. We need someone that can score goals. We are struggling. We have wingers. We have guys that are able to carry the ball and cut in. We've seen that Lamine Yamal's taken Rafinha's position. That's amazing. In the middle, when Gavi and Pedri are back, amazing. But we need someone to score, and it's not Lewandowski. Give me Ollie Watkins. Send this to Saalim.
Can I add something quick?
Yeah.
So you said Rodri is so similar to Busquets, but you're not going to take Rodri.
I mean, I'd love to take Rodri, but I'm also trying to think of somebody maybe a bit more realistic as well. And I don't know, to me, Rodri, I would take in a heartbeat. But what do Barca need more? A midfielder or a striker? Do you know, I'm trying to think about the positioning, because right now Frankie is kind of playing that holding a bit defensive midfield position that Rodri would play. Now, if you're asking me between the two, of course I take Rodri. But there is someone kind of there right now. Barca have so many issues, so you have to go with what is the biggest problem right now, and it's scoring goals, I think,
Fair enough.
personally.
On
Yeah,
the-
Chris, I will take Rodri if you want to. Absolutely.
No, I
With-
want Rodri.
If you got rid of Lewandowski, you then free up more in your wage bill as well. So if you were to go all
Honestly,
out,
get rid of half this team. I'd be willing to. Half of them can go out on loan. We can sell a bunch of them as well. Barca, like it's long.
Man
it's a
United
long-
will take Araujo any day of the week, so I think we'll be good with
Don't
this.
you dare.
You can keep Christensen, the Danish goat.
No. You got Christensen. No, there's a few that can't be touched. But yeah, that's an interesting question.
Yeah, it's a good question as well. My question is basically, if I could sign an under 23 player for Manchester United over the summer, who would it be and why? Realistically speaking, if I could sign anyone, I'm not gonna do this. But it's basically I was gonna go for a second striker because I think a younger striker would work really well at Manchester United. I'd go for someone like Evan Ferguson from Brighton Hove Albion. But you know what? Let's go for a bit of fun. I want Simon Adingra at Manchester United. If I am gonna go for anyone, as another winger, a genuine winger who excites people, gets people off their seat, I'm going to back Simon Adingra all day, any day. We can get a striker who's a bit older than under 23. So that was my question. If I could sign any young player under 23s for Manchester United in summer, Simon Adingra, which is all good. But this is the end of our podcast. It's the end of the games in the Champions League as well. It has been an absolute dream to get this collaboration of football creative geniuses from across the globe. Matthew, where are you based these days? Are you still in London or are you in Harare?
Yeah, I'm a Londoner. I'm an East Londoner.
I thought you were in Harare, so I wasn't sure if you're in Zimbabwe or not at the moment. I couldn't tell with the background. It was a bit.
That's why you ain't got a list yet. You ain't got the dishes yet. So because I'm in here in Zim.
It's true. You have to get these authentic Zimbabwean dishes as well. But just for our outro, I want to say thank you very much for everyone who's listening to this podcast and who's been bigging up our podcast this time around. It's been fantastic to continue to create content for everyone as well. Big up Matthew for his contribution today. Fantastic live streams that we do every Sunday. Do check us out on our YouTube channel as well, which is fantastic. Do find him on the Back of the Net podcast. And I will send Chris and Sara the links to Matthew's Back of the Net and the video that he did with George Achilles, the Spurs YouTuber, as well, which Matt gets violated in as well, which is crazy to see. Kind of like today as well, in a way. I've got to give a big shout out to Chris from Footy Culture because he's absolutely fantastic with his Leandro Trossard interview. When he gets a Man United name on, he has to let me know before. Actually, he knows as well, so I need to hear which Man United players he's going to be interviewing first. Great insight on Juventus. Do follow the Footy Culture because they are absolutely flying right now in the world of football content creation. And last but not least, one of my favorite co-hosts to work with over the season, who's been basically like, I'm not going to say like Bruno Fernandes, but been ever present because it's been fantastic. No, I know you don't like him, so I had to respect your judgment of that one as well. But she's off on a scouting mission to an unknown South American country now, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks' time, which would be great. But again, Sara, Pereira, Chris, Matthew, thank you very much for this week's podcast. Everyone, thank you very much for listening. Take care, and we'll see you next time.